Good evening and welcome to the February 10th regular school board meeting. At this time, I'd invite everyone to please stand if you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. After the Pledge of Allegiance, please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I would like us to share a brief moment of silence for Randy Bachman, a campus security officer at Rosemont High School who passed away on January 26th. Thank you. All right. All right. Before we get started with our formal board meeting, every once in a while, not too often, we get to do some very amazing and special things to start off the board meeting. And today, that is including swearing in our two new board members that were appointed to the board about 45 days ago. And after day 30 of being appointment, they're officially members of the board. So this is our first official regular school board meeting. So before we get started with approving the agenda, we're actually going to do your swearing in. So at this point in time, I'd like to invite Robin and Catherine to please stand. And any family members that are in the audience for either Robin or Catherine, I'd like to invite you to the front to stand with them. Awesome. All right. So, Catherine and Robin, you have the oath in front of you, but I'll just repeat after me as I lead you through it. I state your name. Having been elected to the office of the school board for Independent School District 196.
Having been elected to the office of the school board for Independent School District 196.
Do hereby swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Minnesota.
Do hereby swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Minnesota.
And that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of school board member to the best of my judgment and ability.
And that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of school board member to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations. All right, before your family members sit down, we're going to take a brief pause for our photographer to get some candid photos of you for the newsletter. So.
After the meeting, yes.
All right. Excellent. Congratulations again to both of you. We are very happy to have you on the school board. And now that you are officially sworn in and have taken your oath of office, well, now we can actually go on and approve the agenda. So, at this time, there are no additions or deletions to the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as outlined?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Robin and a second by Leah, I believe, correct? All those in favor of approving the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries on a 5-0 vote. Next on the agenda is our just as fun part of the agenda. It's our recognition portion of the agenda. So I would love to start by welcoming Chris McDonald, the head debate coach at Eagan High School, to the podium to introduce us to the members of the EHS debate team.
We did great. Parham just walked in the door. He was at a math competition, so we had to get him over here, so that was great. Man, this is excellent. I get to break in a couple of new board members for my entertainment when I come and present to the board, so that's cool. One of the things that you'll find, I believe that Mr. Bolsoni has set them at your desk, is that each of you that work in the district office and the school board, I brought a commemorative pen. This is our 30th year of running the Minnesota Debate Teachers Association's JV and Novice State Championship, which is a little bit different than the Minnesota State High School League one, which is the one we're going to talk about tonight, and honor the students from Eagan High School who did really, really well. But we created that tournament 30 years ago so that our younger, newer debaters had a capstone event at the end of the season that they could then celebrate and have the same sort of experience that the High School League provides for our varsity members when they go to the state championships. So, all right. I want to first start out by thanking Superintendent Michael Bolsoni, Chairperson Corey Johnson, and the other members of the District 186 School Board for inviting us here tonight to recognize the Eagan High School debate program's success at the 2025 Minnesota State High School League State Debate Tournament. So I'm going to have all of my students come on up here, all right? Normally when I come here with like a student or two students, you know, because if you do really, really well, you know, you've got that one or two students who do exceptionally well. Oh, tonight's a treat. For those new board members, you get to actually meet a large part of my team, but not really, because this season, this is my 7 debaters that are here, are 7 of 147 that competed in debate throughout the season. Yes, 147 debaters, so it is really cool. It is once again an honor and a privilege to be before you to recognize the outstanding students of Eagan High School that I have the privilege of coaching in interscholastic debate. Debate teaches students critical thinking, research, as well as analysis and synthesis of evidence as they compete against students from schools throughout not only Minnesota but the nation. Most debate teams specialize in 1 or 2 formats of debate. When I started the program at Eagan High School, when I came to the program at Eagan High School, my objective was that no student would ever be cut, that we were open to all students, and we would do every format of debate that the State High School League recognized. And as the State High School League added different formats to debate, we added different avenues for students. Each of the formats provides them with their own sort of unique challenges, and each student then kind of finds their own niche within the activity of debate, which is really kind of cool, right? But at Eagan High School, we participate in all 4. So there are 4 debate formats. But man, to get to the state tournament and to succeed at one of them is exceptional. To excel at all 4 of them at the same state tournament in the same year is really outstanding. And that is actually more a testament to their hard work and their dedication and their effort than it is to anything else. Well, it starts with a philosophy of the program that begins at the top of our leadership with Dr. Rykowski and moves down through the rest of the leadership at Eagan High School. It is still a testament to how hard each of them works while they're debating at Eagan High School. This year, Eagan was the only school to place in the top 5 in each and every one of the formats that the High School League does. This was the 124th annual State High School League State Debate Tournament. It is the oldest and longest running continuous state championship in the state of Minnesota, which I always think is cool when I get to say that, you know. All right. I want to thank the parents, some of whom are here tonight, here to support their students, because without strong parent support, there isn't a program. There isn't the kind of effort that they can put in without them supporting them, getting up early on Saturday mornings to bring them to the school or to bring them to where the tournament is. That is a testament to how much they put effort, the emphasis they put in on their learning and their development as students. I also, of course, need to thank all of my assistant coaches. I'm not going to name them all because that would take me a while. I do have a lot of assistant coaches. I have some volunteer ones and other ones that are paid, but they go above and beyond to help these students to prepare for their competitions each and every weekend. Finally, I have to thank Dr. Rykowski, whose enduring support of the arts and our program. This year, again, we saw 147 students participate in. Running a program of 147 students is not for the faint of heart. Okay. All right, these 7 students represent the best of our program, and I send out my heartfelt thanks to each of them for all that they do to not only represent our program with their strong performances, but also all of the help that they give to the upcoming students of our program. The key to doing really, really well is to have these students giving back constantly and teaching and showing them and being the kind of role models and leaders that are necessary for the program to continue its sustained success. So tonight, we recognize in congressional debate, which is a format where students compete in a legislative forum, debating a myriad of topics throughout the season in the form of bills and resolutions. Topics this year at the state tournament range from a bill to ban mandatory minimum sentences to a bill to ban offshore drilling for fossil fuels. Tonight, we recognize the 5th place finisher in the final round, Nabiha Kashif. I think we'll do this.
We'll wait, yeah.
We'll
wait.
We'll do it as one group.
Yep, yep,
I'll
yep.
recognize each of you, okay? Sorry, I should have informed them.
It's
how
okay,
we're
we're all
doing
good.
this.
It's all good.
I get used to just doing these things, okay? And our 3rd place finisher, Sanvi Seth. In Lincoln Douglas debate, a format where students explore and debate philosophical as well as pragmatic problems that face not only our nation but our world, the topic that was debated at the state tournament involved the examination of whether or not the U.S. ought to become party to the International Criminal Court or the Law of the Sea Treaty. Representing us tonight with his excellent performance at the state tournament, state semifinalist Alex Wong. In public forum debate, a format where students examine very specific topics and debate the pros and cons of that topic. At state, these students debated the pros and cons of whether the African Union should recognize Somaliland as an independent state. Representing us excellently at the state tournament with their semifinal finish, Hayagur Saja and Shreyan Jena. Finally, in policy debate, the oldest and longest running format of debate, students go in-depth in a single topic each year, examining the topic from both a pragmatic perspective as well as a philosophical one. This year, our students debated whether or not the federal government should significantly strengthen its protection of domestic intellectual property rights in copyrights, patents, and/or trademarks. This year's 2025 Minnesota State High School League champions in policy debate, Tristan Wynn and Parham Tucker. So, I introduce to you my champions to the board. So now you guys.
Amazing job, Poe. Congratulations. Fantastic.
Congratulations.
Amazing job.
Great job.
Thank you. I'll see you in a couple months.
Yes.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Congratulations.
Great job. Congratulations. Amazing
Great
job.
job. Hey, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Poe.
Wonderful.
Appreciate you being
Well
here.
done as always. Thanks for the
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for all you do.
Amazing. Next, our recognitions continue. I'd like to welcome Jeremy Sorensen, our Director of of Education, to the podium to introduce principals from Echo Park Elementary School and Glacier Hills Elementary School.
All right, good evening, Chair Johnson, members of the board, and Superintendent Bolsoni. It's my pleasure to introduce Logan Schultz of Echo Park Elementary and Adriana Henderson of Glacier Hills Elementary, whose schools have been honored with the top Magnet School of Excellence Award. This national recognition reflects their outstanding leadership, dedication to academic excellence, and commitment to providing innovative, high-quality education opportunities for all students. Both Echo Park and Glacier Hills Elementary have exemplified magnet programming in fostering student achievement, diversity, and community engagement. Please join me in congratulating them on this well-deserved honor, and then each of them will talk a little bit.
Thank you, Director Sorensen. Chairperson Johnson, Superintendent Bolsoni, members of the school board, good evening. I'm Logan Schultz, the proud principal of Echo Park Elementary School of Leadership, Engineering, and Technology. I'm proud to stand before you as the principal of Echo Park, where we've recently received the award that Director Sorensen shared. We are one of only 33 elementary schools nationwide to earn this recognition. And we are especially proud that our recognition did not end there. We are one of only a handful, and we think the only school in Minnesota to be selected for an on-site visit from Magnet Schools of America that happened last Monday. This means that of those schools that received a Top School of Excellence award, our application rose to the top and placed us in the running for the top K-12 and top elementary magnet school in the entire country. So we will find out on April 10th if we hit that huge top of the top recognition, an incredible achievement that reflects the hard work, dedication, and passion of our students, staff, and our school community. But this recognition is about much more than just our magnet themes. It's about the success we've had in closing achievement gaps and increasing student achievements. For example, over the past 4 years, our reading and math proficiency has increased double digits with an almost 20% overall increase in math. This increase includes significant double-digit closures in the achievement gap between certain demographic groups. Beyond academics, our commitment to closing achievement and opportunity gaps extends into the community. We host monthly open-door food pantries. We also visit high-density housing communities in August to ensure all students are enrolled and have access to school supplies and information. And as I shared with this board last month, we regularly use language services to break down communication barriers and celebrate our multilingual families. Our magnet themes, engineering, leadership, and technology, are thriving, integrating real-world learning into the curriculum and providing students with unique opportunities to engage in different ways. For example, today our third graders were biologists building membranes for frogs, and last week our fifth graders were chemical engineers creating Play-Doh recipes that the preschoolers loved to test out. This award is a testament to what we've accomplished together. From academic achievement to community partnerships, magnet schools provide more than just themes. So I want to give a thank you to all of you for your unwavering support for magnet programming. We're excited that Echo Park is a place where all students can wonder, explore, create, and lead. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, school board members, and Superintendent Bolsoni. Thank you for having us here tonight. I am Adriana Henderson, the very proud principal of Glacier Hills Elementary School of Arts and Science. Thank you once again. We are truly humbled and honored by this most recent recognition. On behalf of all of our students, staff, and families, we are grateful to yet again receive the award of Top Magnet School of Excellence for the third consecutive year. And as Logan mentioned, one of 33 schools being recognized nationwide. We are so committed to the academic excellence, fostering strong relationships, building community partnerships in alignments with our arts and science programming. We are so proud of the work we do. And again, thank you so much for the dedication and support you provide our school to thrive and be the best we can possibly be. Thank you again.
Okay.
Congratulations. Very impressive.
All right. Next up, Principal Henderson, you can't go too far because I would like to welcome Adriana Henderson back to the podium, principal at Glacier Hills Elementary School, to introduce Nicole Hosek, who has won the Region 6 Magnet Teacher of the Year Award. And apologies, please correct me if I mispronounced that name.
That's right. Good evening once again, Chairperson Johnson, school board members, and Superintendent Bolsoni. We have an exciting announcement. Nicole Hosek is the recipient, as you mentioned, of the Magnet Schools of America Region 6 Teacher of the Year Award. And presenting tonight will be Assistant Administrator Estelle Suku.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, school board members, and Superintendent Bolsoni. My name is Estelle Suku. I am the Assistant Administrator at Glacier Hills Elementary School of Arts and Science. Tonight, we also celebrate an individual whose passion and commitment embody the very best of our educational mission. I am honored to announce Nicole Hosek as Teacher of the Year Region 6 by Magnet Schools of America. Nicole is an exceptional educator who consistently goes above and beyond for her students and staff. She is a true collaborator. She connects with her colleagues and students to create innovative and engaging learning experiences for all. In closing, I want to express my deepest gratitude to everyone who has contributed to Glacier Hill's success. Congratulations again to Nicole Hosick, our Teacher of the Year, and the entire Glacier Hills community. Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda, I will turn the meeting over to Superintendent Bolsoni for Superintendent's recognition of students and staff.
Thank you so much, Chair Johnson. I do have a lot of recognitions tonight, so here we go. We'll start with two of our District 196 juniors, Sarah Labourere of Rosemont High School and Ann Kit Mukhopadhyay of Egan High School have been selected to receive the Minnesota State High School League Excel Award for leadership and service. We will recognize Sarah and Ankit at the March 10th board meeting. The two are among 36 high school juniors who will be honored statewide during halftime at the Class AAA Girls Basketball State Championship game. Each Minnesota high school can nominate two students for the Excel Award. Other District 196 nominees included India Rutten and Ryan Christensen at Apple Valley High School, Sanvi Seth at Egan High School, Haraway Kadib and Eldon Rowe at Eastview High School, and Ari Patich at Rosemont High School. Similarly, I would like to congratulate the 8 District 196 seniors nominated for the 2025 Minnesota High School League AAA Award. The AAA criteria include seniors with a 3.0 or higher grade point average who participate in athletic and fine arts programs and exhibit exemplary citizenship and the highest standards of sportsmanship and conduct. The AAA Award nominees from 196 are Sarah Ludke and Luke Klopp of Apple Valley High School, Jenna Teagland and Param Tucker of Egan High School, Evelyn Swenson and Max Espena of Eastview High School, and Kelly Estebo and Connor Amos of Rosemont High School. Each high school in the state can nominate 2 seniors for the award. We wish our students the best in this competition. Also, congratulations to 3 District 196 teams who succeeded at the Regional Future City competition in January. Valley Middle School of STEM earned a second-place overall finish along with 2 special awards, the Real City Special Award and the Most Environmentally Friendly Power Source Award. Rosemont Middle School received the Industrial Commercial Layout Award and the Safe Drinking Water Award. And Scott Highlands Middle School took 4th place honorable mention and the People's Choice Award. Congratulations also to the more than 200 District 196 high school students who qualified to compete at our state business conferences that will be held in March. All 4 comprehensive high schools have strong representation. DECA state finalists come from Rosemont High School, Eastview High School, Apple Valley High School. Business Professionals of America state competition will also include Egan High School and Eastview High School competitors. Congratulations to the Eastview Varsity Competition Cheer Team, which competed this past weekend at the UCA National Cheer Competition Championship in Orlando, Florida. The team placed 11th in its game day non-tumbling division against some of the best teams in the country. Good luck also to our Lightning Dance team at Eastview, which will compete in the high kick and jazz tournaments this weekend at the Target Center. It is the 28th year in a row, every year since the school opened, that the Lightning have advanced to state in both jazz and kick. We want to congratulate and wish the District 196 Alpine and Nordic Ski state qualifiers good luck. The tournament will be held this week in Biwabek, Minnesota. Our Rosemont Boys Alpine Ski Team and the District 196 Boys and Girls Nordic teams are all state-bound. In girls wrestling, we have 4 Apple Valley and 3 Egan girls also competing at state. Good luck to them. In unified basketball, sponsored by the Special Olympics, the Egan Unified team plays in the semifinals tomorrow afternoon. And finally, I'm proud to announce that the district has been awarded a $50,000 computer science education grant. The funding will be used to update our K-12 computer science curriculum, professional development, and purchase equipment. At the middle school, we will update drafting and manufacturing CAD labs, and makerspaces to provide students with hands-on experience in the tools and technologies driving modern innovation. We have also identified integrated computer science opportunities across various content areas at the high school level, including business, art, tech education, science, mathematics, and communication. And that concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
Excellent. Love this time of year, hearing all the competitions going on, and we hope to see them back winning some medals, too.
I'm sure we will.
Excellent. All right, next on the agenda is our consent agenda. Board members, we have 15 items on the consent agenda this evening. They include the minutes of the January 13th, 2025 regular school board meeting, the minutes of the January 28th, 2025 special school board meeting, the minutes of the January 29th, 2025 policy review committee, gifts, grants, treasurer's report for December 2024, summary of claims for December 2024, schedule of investments for December 31st. 2024 revenues and expenditures report for December 2024, personnel memorandum of understanding with Dakota County United Educators for summer 2025, memorandum of understanding with Rave Clerical Association for summer 2025, 2025 Rosemont High School Auditorium Sound System Replacement, Joint Powers Agreement for Ship School Wellness, Joint Powers Agreement between Minnesota Department of Education and District 196. Are there any items on the consent agenda that board members would like to remove tonight? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Motion by Catherine, second by Leah. All those in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Consent agenda carries on a 5-0 vote. 5-0 vote. I can't speak tonight. All right. Next on the agenda is our reports, and I would like to welcome Mark Stotts to the podium to go over a bond construction report.
Well, Sonny, I'm happy to be before you tonight to talk about our construction projects that we have both in progress coming up this summer and then coming up in future summers. So feel free to ask questions as we move along here, and we'll try and get those answered as best as possible. So first, I'm going to talk about our summer 2025 projects. You can see Dakota Ridge is already in process and should be completed by the end of this summer. Emerald Trail is also in process and should be completed by the end of this summer. Then we have Rosemont Middle School, which is going to take a little bit longer because we'll open that the fall of 2027. Eastview High School, Apple Valley High School, Rosemont High School are all in the beginning phases. So I'll talk about all these projects as we move along here. First one, Eastview High School. The bids were due last week. We're still in the process of compiling those. We did best value interviews for 3 of the trade projects on Friday, and we're feeling like we're within budget. Everything is looking good, so we're happy about that. We plan to start this project May of 2025, complete it in late fall, early winter 2026. And as a reminder of what's happening at Eastview High School, the big addition is the Activity Center. We also have science renovations, privacy, toilet upgrades, and some performance space enhancements. With the activity centers, I should mention at all 4 high schools, we've got really good partnerships with the cities in which the high schools reside in, as well as the athletic associations that are within the district. And they'll all have the opportunity to utilize these activity centers. They'll go through the normal process where they'll have to schedule events through community education. Obviously, at times when the high schools are not using these facilities, but we really value the partnerships with the cities and the athletic associations and other organizations. There may be, boat shows, that type of thing that could occur in these facilities. So I just wanted to mention that because that's, again, true for all 4 high schools. Apple Valley High School will be going out for bid later this month, February 27th. Again, the intent is to begin this project May of 25 and complete it late fall, early winter of 2026. Same project scope as Eastview High School. We have the Activity Center addition, science renovations, privacy toilet upgrades, as well as performance improvements. Scott Highlands Middle School, bids will be due towards the end of March 28th. The plan is to begin this project July of 2025 with a completion date of August 2026, so this will span 2 summers. The big thing here is the 8 classroom addition, as well as new science labs, renovated science labs, performance space upgrades. So they'll have a performance area as part of their cafeteria, much like Valley Middle School. We also have privacy toilet upgrades and some additional parking going in at Valley Middle School, or Scott Highlands. Rosemount High School, this is the biggest project within the referendum, approximately $150 million. And we're just finishing up the planning on this particular project. Bids will be due on April 1st with a start date of May 25th. This will go for about 2.5 years, so we're hoping completion in late fall of 2027. The first 2 things that are going to occur at Rosemount High School, and I'll talk about what it's going to look like this summer because there's going to be a lot of traffic hurdles to navigate around Rosemount High School this summer, and I'll talk about that later. But the activity center and the classroom addition will be the first 2 things that happen. Once those are complete, we'll start moving through the building. And so potentially food service, cafeteria could move to the activity center while we're working on those areas. The media center could potentially move to the activity center while we're working on that. And then the classroom addition will have to rotate classes in the main section of the building as we do work in those areas, and they'll be going to the new classroom additions. So it's a complicated project, it's a challenging project, but it's really a project that's exciting. In addition to those 2 additions, we're also going to do renovations to the cafeteria media center. We're going to try and improve circulation in that building. There will be toilet upgrades within this project as well as additional parking. And we're going to have to relocate some athletic fields because of the activity center addition. And just a lot going on, a very complicated project, but it'll be very nice when we're all through. Valley Middle School, so one of the issues that we've come across as we're working through these projects is the permitting process, particularly plumbing permits, have really, the time period to get those has really been extended. And that's a state level permit. And so at Valley Middle School, what we're going to do is those items this summer that do not require a plumbing permit. So that'll be special education classrooms as well as another classroom. And then the following year is when we'll do the areas that require the plumbing permit, and that'll be the toilets and the science rooms. Thomas Lake is scheduled for a new dedicated bus loop. The plan is to begin that June of 2025, and it should be done in time for school, August of 25. And we're also going to convert the front parking lot for parent drop-off as well as add additional parking at that site. CVLC, DVLC, both are scheduled to receive new secure entrances. This is a picture of the Cedar Valley Learning Center, and you can see Cedar Avenue to the east, and the secure entrance addition that'll be added there. That is actually the original entry to the building when that building opened. And then it was moved to the parking lot side, and now because of security concerns, we're moving it back in the area facing Cedar Avenue. Again, quotes are due in January, and starting in May, hopefully be completed in July of '25. So these are a little bit smaller project, but nonetheless, they're very important projects for both of these facilities. Okay, projects that are currently in progress. You can tell the picture here was taken earlier this winter, right after it snowed. But this is Emerald Trail Elementary. Now that we have a name for it, that's a good thing because we can start planning colors and signage and that type of thing. Again, it's in progress right now. We're on schedule, on budget, and the plan is to open in the fall of '25. So we're really looking forward to that. Dakota Ridge, the building that we're at right now, you can, if you walked out in the hallway, you can see the entrance to the construction area. I did check, it's locked, that's a good thing. This project is a 6-classroom addition as well as a multi-purpose room addition and some additional parking. There will be some site work done this summer, but the construction is on schedule, on budget. Everything is looking good for a fall opening for those additions. Rosemount Middle School, another big project. We finally got the land secured, so that's a good thing. If you've driven out in that area, you can see that we've removed a portion of the berm where the building pad is going to be. The plan had been to start footings earlier this month. That's been delayed because of the delay in the building permit. So we're still waiting on the building permit, and we'll start laying footings as soon as we get that. Again, this is going to be a little longer project with completion in the fall of 2027. But we're really happy with the site, and we're really excited to get going here. And projects that we have beyond this summer, Falcon Ridge Middle School, so we're going to be doing some science room renovations there. We're doing some restroom renovations there. That will take place in the summer of '26. Again, we're fearful of the timing of the plumbing permits, so we're putting those off until the summer of 2026. But this summer, we are going to start working on classroom renovations. So that's really exciting to get going on that project. Egan High School, we're in the design phase for the activity center as we speak. In fact, we have a meeting tomorrow on that. Again, we're hoping for bids late October 2025. And this is a misprint here, but Egan High School, I think, is scheduled to be completed in 2026. Blackhawk Middle School, again, we're doing restroom renovations there, and we're hoping for a start date in the summer of '26 with completion in time for school, August of '26. A bunch of other projects, maybe not as large in scope as the ones we've talked about so far, but SES is scheduled for a new entry, a secure entry, as well as toilet renovations. Transition Plus is scheduled for toilet renovations, as well as the ALC. And then Rosemount Elementary, as well as Northview Elementary, are scheduled to receive loading docks, and that'll occur next summer, in the summer of 2026. Okay, here's a picture of the Rosemount High School site and some of what's going on this summer. You can see on the right-hand side of this diagram, MnDOT is doing a roundabout on Highway 3 right to the entrance of Rosemount High School. And so that will happen, this summer. We'll have a temporary access road for construction vehicles only that will run across those softball fields to the south of 142nd Street. And then you can see where the contractor parking area is. And so all contractor parking will be in this area. We do not intend on using any of the student or staff parking at Rosemount High School, which is at a premium anyway. And then you can see at the same time, the city is doing construction on Chile Avenue, but they're going to continue to allow access as they work on that project. So people will be able to enter the site from Chile Avenue to the south and still access Rosemount High School. Those middle school north fields are south of 142nd. They are going to get rebuilt after the temporary construction road is not needed any longer, and so they will be out of use for a couple summers. But yeah, traffic is going to be a little bit difficult to navigate in this area this summer, but people will still be able to access this site. We still plan on having summer school here, and so we'll just work through it and start construction. So with that, I'd entertain any questions that you might have.
Excellent. Thank you. Before I go to the board, are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? Thank you very much for the update on this very, very complex project that we have undertaken. Also, I just wanted to point out, if anyone is curious about additional updates, every time I have a spare second, I've been loving going to our website and looking at the live construction feeds we have on our website of the progress happening at the schools. I think that's really transparent, and it's nerdily really fun to watch the big trucks.
Yeah,
going.
those are neat. And Knutson Construction, who's our construction management firm, they also do drone videos that are really, really cool. So if you're ever interested in seeing those, we can make them available. So.
Excellent. That'd be great. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next on reports, I would like to invite Eric Hansen, Director of Secondary Education, and let's see, Drew Mons and Pete Biskins to the podium to go over a bar and positive behavior interventions and support.
Okay, good evening, Chairperson Johnson, members of the school board, and Superintendent Bolsoni. It is my pleasure to introduce three outstanding leaders from Apple Valley High School who have been instrumental in shaping an exciting new opportunity for our ninth grade students within our district. Tonight, Principal Drew Mons and Assistant Principals Pete Biskins and Bill Blatzheim will be sharing about the BAR program, which stands for Building Assets and Reducing Risks. This program will be expanding to the other three comprehensive high schools beginning next fall. Principal Mons and Assistant Principals Biskins and Blatzheim have not only led the way in implementing BAR for the past 2 years, but have shown exceptional commitment and passion for the success and well-being of our students. Their leadership has helped build a strong foundation for this impactful program, and we are grateful for the Apple Valley High School school teachers and staff for their efforts. I will now turn over to Principal Mons to share the details of our BAR program. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Johnson and school board members and Superintendent Bolsoni. My name is Drew Mons, and I'm the proud principal of Apple Valley High School, and oftentimes say I have the best gig around because I get to tell the stories of the good things happening at Apple Valley High School here. So excited to talk tonight about BAR. And as Director Hansen mentioned, BAR stands for Building Assets and Reducing Risks. Educators are naturally and inherently relationship builders. However, the traditional schooling and the way that we construct our schools isn't always designed to create those strong relationships. At its worst, it can take on a factory-like model, and that's something that no educator gets into the work of working with students to do. Especially at the high school level, it can be challenging where students are going to 7 different classes and they move from 45-minute blocks. So what is BAR? BAR is something that we just know works for kids, and this is something that we've been excited about for quite some time because the values of BAR really fit with who we are as a school. We know that systems are designed to produce the results that they get, We also know that if we want to get different results, we need to be able to tweak the system to make sure that we can focus on relationships, collaboration, and engagement so we can positively impact all of our students. And that's one of the things that we really love about BAR program is its focus on two key pillars, and that being relationships and data. This model, it disrupts the factory model by embedding relationships into the system. It allows students to thrive, built on these two pillars. And thinking about traditional schooling, in so many ways, traditional schools often silo teachers by department, and it limits their collaboration. If you're part of an English or a social studies department, as I was for many years, you talked about academics, you talked about curriculum. You didn't always have the chance to be able to talk about kids. BAR breaks down those silos by organizing teachers into interdisciplinary teams. So while an English teacher still connects with their department, they also collaborate with a science and with a social studies teacher. And we work within the schedule so that they share 80% or more of those students between those three teachers. What this does is it really disrupts that system by focusing on the opportunity for teachers to be able to discuss students holistically. They're able to focus and talk about human being and not just human doing. They discuss students and not curriculum. They identify trends and successes that they're seeing with their students. They also identify challenges that the students are seeing and that they're encountering in their classrooms. And they build intentional relationships with their students, dedicating specific time and actions to get to know their students so that as a team, they can co-create strategies to support student growth. The result, for us, it's been a stronger learning community where both teachers and students thrive. At AVHS, we like to say that learning looks different, and after just 18 months, we don't just feel the change, we can see the difference in the data. We see higher course completion rates, we see improved attendance, and decreased behavior issues. And as I said before, something that's very unique is that BAR benefits all of our students. It closes the opportunity gap, and it ensures that every single student gets talked about over the course of the year. So what does it look like and how does it work? Tonight, Assistant Principals Pete Biskins and Bill Blatzheim will walk you through the schedule. They'll talk about some of the behind-the-scenes work that takes place and the data. But first, we thought we would show you a video so you could see and hear what it looks like from the students and the staff themselves.
Being that the acronym is Building Assets, Reducing Risks, it's an instructional framework that is meant to increase student achievement while also deepening relationships that they have with us as staff members, but ultimately with each other. That's the biggest goal.
We meet as a team with English, social studies, and science once a week, and we get a chance to talk about kind of patterns that we're seeing, common themes across our classes, and also individual students who may need some attention or some extra support. One thing I love about BAR is that nobody slips through the cracks, because even a kid who shows up and does what they're supposed to do and we talk about them, we always start with the positive, and that just kind of helps frame the conversation and make sure that we're talking about students from a way that is strengths-based and seeing them as a full human.
Having the same teacher kind of helped me build that relationship, and the teachers they want what is best for you, which made me realize when I'm asking questions or just I need help on something that they're not going to judge me. So it gave me that confidence to go talk to new teachers and say, hey, I know we just met, but can you please help me with this? And that they're not going to judge you, and they're actually there to support you.
My relationships with teachers, I feel has helped my grade improve because I get to talk to them more about assignments or if I don't understand stuff. I see a big difference with the change in my grades and also my attendance.
Relationships are what help kids learn. BAR has helped build stronger classroom culture and classroom community. Kids learn to trust each other more. They feel more comfortable taking risks, and that pays off both in the classroom and just in their everyday lives.
I really liked the iTime lessons that were included in BAR. I think that was the biggest takeaway from this, because I really learned how to talk to different people, build connections, be socially emotional with different people and interact with them. Being positive is, it's a big one, because they taught me to be respectful, kind, how to include people too, because including is a very important part, I think, of BAR, because you have such a diverse group and different type of people, and as you guys come together, there's different perspectives and different ideas.
I do feel like I have opportunities to share my opinions because in the beginning of the year, we all talked about how we would make the school a safe place. And a lot of people chose about respecting each other and like whatever is said in the room stays in the room. And I feel like that creates a safe opportunity like in the classroom, and the teachers also come with a warm welcome.
I really look forward to my English courses. The connections I have with these kids, like where I can assist them and encourage them for elements that they're accomplishing in, but also offer that support if they need. They know that they have adults that champion them. And BAR really helps us to emphasize the positives within our roles as educators.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, board members, Superintendent Bolsoni. My name is Pete Biskins. I'm the assistant principal at Apple Valley High School. Mr. Bladsheim and I have kind of taken the day-to-day lead with BAR at the school. My role is master schedule building, the puzzling, and those sort of things. And so when I started in District 196 a long time ago, I was at Rosemont Middle School and Falcon Ridge Middle School, and we had houses. And in just that sharing of students, sharing of ideas, when I came to the high school, we had it, but it kind of faded away. And so Mr. Mons and I talked a lot about the importance of ninth grade, and the importance of getting them on track early, and eventually we settled into the BAR model. And so what we have, when we started at Apple Valley 2 years ago, we had two houses, in a sense, that shared the same students in English, social studies, and earth science. And within our houses, we started small. We wanted to make sure we were doing it right, and so when I built the master schedule, we made sure that the teachers shared as many students as we could. As Mr. Mons said, about 80%, upwards of 90% of the students have those three teachers. And then we gave them time. We gave them time in common preps where they could sit, discuss, meet, and also time where we removed their duty because we knew the additional work of BAR was going to be a little bit of a lift, but a really, really valuable and rewarding lift. So we expanded it this year. We added a third house, the Omega house. So we have Alpha, Beta, and Omega. And within those houses, we have middle of the road students. We have students that are in accelerated and honors classes. We have students that are in our special education program, in our English learning program. And so we are trying to keep it as expansive as we can to all students. Within the week of BAR, we have small block meetings, big block meetings, and I-time lessons. And so I'd like to take a little bit of time and share with you what those are. So as you see, we have those 4 or 3 blocks, but we also have our Community Connect, which is often referred to in schools as our SAT, our Student Assistant Teams. So we'll talk a little bit about what those are. I-time lessons and small block meetings are where we really work on building relationships, not just with staff to student, but student to student, and building community across these 80 to 90 students. I-time lessons are each week, one of the 3 teachers pauses their lessons and does a social emotional relationship building activity. So it rotates every 3rd week within the houses. You can see some of the things that we do in here, but it is all relating to relationship building. So we started the school year by doing a lot of get to know you activities, but with a purpose. Things that our teachers will often refer back to as they get to know their students a little bit better. And as we hear how, student A is struggling a little bit, who's a connection they have in our building? Well, let's look back to what we did at the beginning of the year in one of our I-time lessons. This kid is really interested in basketball. Let's connect them with the coach. Let's see where we can get them moving forward. This kid we learned about a student the other day. They love heavy metal music. Things you would never know about kids unless you are intentional with trying to get to know them, and so on. So every week our I-time lessons happen. What we've learned are in the classes that aren't in houses, those teachers are also starting to pause and go, what are you doing in your I-time this week in earth science? I'm going to do it in mine as well. And so we've seen that expand across. So that happens once a week within our houses. We also have two different kinds of meetings. We have a small block meeting. The small block meeting agendas, as you can see here, we're going to plan the week. This will happen early in the week during their common shared time. They're going to talk about which iTime are we doing this week, who's doing it, what is the theme, what are we hoping for, what's the purpose. But we're also going to talk about all of the students. Now, certainly not. But what we are going to do is we're going to make sure that as we progress through the year, no student's voice is not heard. We're going to talk about every single student, and we track it. We make sure we are documenting who did we talk about this week, who haven't we talked about yet, who's a kid that's just coming every day, doing great things, but we haven't talked about this person yet. And so we're going to make sure we put voice on every single student. We do different projects that we talk about in small block. During the month of January, it gets to be, tough, cold, dark when you get to work, dark when you go home from work. We all know how that is, and we start to worry. And so we went with Project Positive during January, where our teachers focused on positive outreach to parents, phone calls, emails, cards to kids, anything to fill those buckets for mom and dad. If you get that call at home and you get that voicemail, where you get to a teacher caught your kid doing great. What a great thing to be able to play over and over again. And so we work on some of those things during small block bar times as well, building those relationships. We also have Big Block and Community Connect, and for these I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Blatzheim.
Thanks, Pete. Good evening, Chairperson Johnson and Superintendent Bolsoni and board members. I'm Bill Blatz. I'm assistant principal at Apple Valley. And yes, so part of the week, teachers meet. They have their small block meeting, which is just the 3 teachers that are in the house. And then the following day, we do our big block meetings, which is not only the 3 teachers in the house, but it's usually a member of the counseling staff, a member of the administrative team as well, and then somebody from our student support office or maybe our social worker. There's just a bigger team that comes in, and we continue to talk about students. And one of the resources that we use, both in the small block and the big block meeting, is this sheet that you can see. It's kind of, I know it's kind of hard to read at distance, and obviously we've taken a minute to kind of to block out any personally identifying information about students here in a public meeting. But this is where, when we talk about relationships and data, this is where those two things come together. This is our data. This is how we track. Have we talked about every student in the house? If not, who haven't we talked about? Why? Oh my gosh, we have talked about this student before, and here was a goal we set for that student. What was that student's goal? What was our follow-up on that goal? Who was going to do that? Who was going to make that phone call home? What was the result of that phone call? It's where we can make sure that we're really tracking and doing what we say we're going to do, which is follow up with students. The cool thing about this sheet, it's used in small block meetings, it's used in big block meetings, and the agenda for a student review. And in a meeting, we have time to do anywhere between 4 and 6 student reviews. We usually talk for a student for about 5 minutes. The agenda for talking about a student goes from left to right, and I don't know if you can read it, but the leftmost column after kind of the identifying information is strengths. And I have watched it happen in big block meetings multiple times. It's so tempting, especially if you're coming into the big block meeting and maybe you had a student that you just had a less than awesome interaction with. Maybe they were having a bad day, maybe you were having a bad day, maybe it was both, right? And it can be so tempting to come in and say, hey, Michael was really, I've seen teachers either stop themselves or stop one another and say, hey, remember, we start with strengths. We start with strengths. And we stop and we say, that's right, we start with strengths. And we go, okay, well, they have really positive connections with their peers in class. They really value those social relationships with the peers in the class, right? And we start there, and it's amazing to watch what happens to the tone of the conversation, how everything can shift, how everybody can start to see, all right, yep, we're going to start with a strength. Because then eventually we do get to, what are some challenges this student's facing? And we have to set goals for students. We have to help them meet their challenges. But when we identified strengths first, when we start in that strength space, that building assets approach, our conversations, our goals, everything is just so much more positively oriented. And that's really good. There's also some really interesting stuff here that I just want to point out quickly. This is not the block meeting sheet that we used last year when we joined the BAR program. We were using a sheet that was provided by BAR, and it worked, but it was a little haphazard in terms of tracking grades. And I don't know if you can tell, but every student on this sheet, their grade is being tracked in every single one of their classes every week. Which was new, and it was something, one of the positive aspects of being part of the official BAR program is we got this idea when Pete and others went to the BAR National Conference last spring. And they saw a presentation actually by the folks at Two Rivers High School right up the road here, who shared that this is how they do this. And Pete came back from the conference and he talked to me. He said, Bill, you got to contact Two Rivers. You got to see what they're doing with their sheets. We'll have better grade updates. And I did. I reached out, and the folks up there at Two Rivers said, yeah, we want to help, but actually we've already been in touch with your district, with Stephen Bell-Kemp at our district office, because we know all your high schools are going to do this. And so Stephen shared this with me, and then we put our own tweaks on it. And through this process, nobody hides ideas in the BAR program. Everybody's sharing ideas. And I have a phone call this week with an assistant principal at a high school in Montana to share this with him, to talk to him about how we get this data, because then we can look at this and say every week, like, oh, wow, Michael, I'm going to use your name again. He went from having 5 A's and 2 B's to having, some C's and some F's. We better check in. Or the other way around, we better celebrate. He was really struggling, and now all of a sudden he's pulling an A in math. He hasn't had one all trimester. Who's going to find him in class tomorrow and tell him, hey, keep up the good work? Oh, I've got a good connection with that student. I'll find him in science class tomorrow and tell him, hey, you're doing great in math. I can see you're getting an A there. And that matters for students. When you're walking into your science class and your science teacher congratulates you on your A in math, that pings for students. That matters. So this is all really like positive ways that we keep track. As we go through, we identify students by their current level of concern. Level 0, everything's going great. Let's set some goals around, academic, like challenging themselves, social, emotional goals. Level 1, let's do some basic intervention, make sure they get to an Eagle time. Level 2, we need to do something a little more serious. And then eventually, some students might be identified as a level 3 concern, which would be like significant attendance concerns, significant concerns around mental health or just passing. And then those students are then referred to what we call the Community Connect team. Like Pete said, that's kind of like the student assistance team. And the folks in Community Connect take those. Like I said, there's a counselor in the big block meeting who takes that referral and then goes to that meeting. Those meetings have a very similar process. Strengths first. They ask some different questions. I don't have an example of that sheet, but they track that data as well. And then the folks in that meeting are counselors, social worker, administrators, folks that can connect students and families to the resources they might need to kind of take on those bigger challenges. And then those folks will report back to the big block to the degree that they can. Hey, so-and-so came up at Community Connect last week. We talked about this plan. If you see them in class this week, encourage them around the plan of A, B, and C. So we're kind of wrapping bigger supports around students as well through that Community Connect process. What have we found out through doing this process? I have two really just kind of interesting, they're a little numbers heavy, but I'll kind of help walk through them. Some really interesting information that we found through the course of implementing BAR at Apple Valley High School. These are numbers from last year. So this would be trimester 2 and trimester 3 of 2023 and 2024. And you can see, failure rates for all 9th grade versus our alpha houses and our beta house. But I actually want to just draw your attention to one number, which is at the end of trimester 3 last year, in the BAR classes, so in science, social studies, and in English, for the students that were in alpha and in beta houses that we had last year, of all the grades those students received in those 3 classes, all the students, 7 of them were Fs out of 324 total grades, which is a stunning number when you look at just failure rates in general across schools, across just high schools in general. And of those 7, 3 of them belonged to a student who we know had significant attendance issues, which means there was 4 other Fs that were sitting out there of the 324. And when we pulled those numbers last spring, we saw BAR working on a anecdotal level. We watched teachers having positive conversations. We saw students responding to iTime lessons. But when we saw that, we said, there's something to this. This is working. This is working for these students because these teachers are supporting them. They're looking, they're intervening, and they're making sure that students aren't failing here. They're succeeding here. And when we disaggregated that data, I'm going to share this one last bit of numbers with you. This is a slightly different look at failure rates in terms of students who received 1 F grade or more in 9th grade in the 2022-23 school year to 23-24. And we're using some District 196 general numbers here. And I'm doing that because we saw decreases everywhere. And this is certainly not to say that the other schools aren't doing something that we're doing. But I just think that these are good reference points, and especially because we were able to disaggregate this data by different ethnicities. And what you see across the board here is from 22 to 23 and then to 23-24, there were decreases in number of students that saw Fs kind of across categories across the district. But all 9th grade students, those numbers went down 1.4%, but at Apple Valley, it went down 5%, we saw a decrease in students who had F grades of 5%, which is, significantly more than the district average. For Black and African American students between those 2 years, the district saw a decrease of 2% in failure rates. At Apple Valley, we saw a decrease of 9.5%. For Hispanic and Latino students, the district sees 2%, we see 3 1/3. White students, the district saw 1.97. For us, it was 1.2. And then for students identified as 2 or more races, that decrease across the district was 1.3% in failure rates, and ours was 22%. We saw it. And we use the word decrease because it's a decrease in failure rate, but that's a good thing, right? So we saw those, and we were implementing BAR, and we said, hey, maybe BAR doesn't explain all of that, but it's got to be a part of that. There's no way we can be doing this, and that can't be part of the story. So I wanted to share those numbers with you because we're seeing success, and we believe that BAR is part of the story of that success. So I thought that was important for all of you to see and know. I'm going to bring Principal Mons back up here now to kind of take you through the last part of our presentation.
So somebody told me once that being an educator is the hardest job you'll ever love, and it's really true. It's an amazing, amazing opportunity to be able to work with young people, and it's really hard. And when you think about so many of our structures that have folks set up doing really good work but doing really hard work alone, that was one of the things that really was important to us. When we thought about how we got here, just recap a few things that you heard. Bill talked about never keep a good idea in your back pocket. And we've been really fortunate through our partnership with BAR to be able to learn a lot from them and also be able to spread a lot of what we've learned. But thinking about the powers of strengths, one of the things for us, 8 years ago, I had the chance to visit St. Louis Park High School and see firsthand where BAR was founded and where that first came. And I came away from it just blown away. I watched the most functional student assistance team meetings that I'd ever seen in my life. And it was one of those things you go like, I want that, but I don't know how to do that. Like Bill said, when I'm in my best thinking, I can speak to all sorts of possibilities. When I'm struggling or I'm really faced by a tough challenge I can't get my head around, it can be really easy to go to that dark place. And this puts people together with a really strong structure, and also with that key of intentionality, that everything that you do within a BAR meeting is really structured to help get you those results. And we went out to see another school out in the West Metro that was a BAR school 2 years ago. We brought members of our building instructional leadership team to see it, and we came back in 2 different cars, and both of those cars had just so much energy around it. And we knew that there were things that were familiar to who we've been, and we also knew that there were opportunities for who we wanted to be. So a year ago, we had the opportunity to put together an application, and we were recipients of a $250,000 grant from the state of Minnesota to be able to implement this BAR model this last year. And we started going last year on the thank you tour. So one of those opportunities was to go to the Education House Committee and then also to the Senate Finance Committee to be able to advocate. As Pete mentioned, we've had team members that have gone to the national conference. We meet every 2 weeks with a cohort of other principals and other leaders and other coordinators for BAR houses, and it's just been incredibly influential for our work here. And as I said, like one of the best opportunities is to make sure we hear from the kids themselves, that difference that it's made in their experience. Even just 2 weeks ago, I was in an observation, hearing the students say like, yeah, in all of our classes we do some icebreakers, but I think that beauty is those I-time lessons, they happen for the students every single week. So they get that steady dose of that. And also the I-time that Alpha House is doing may be totally different than what Omega is doing or what Beta is. So they're able to really think about what our kids need and make sure that they have that experience. And this is from this last year. Some students and I had the chance to be able to go and present and spread some of the work there.
Everett and Ellie are just 2 examples of students where our social studies teacher specifically made strong connections and encouraged them to take honors. Kelly Redmond, one of our BAR social studies teachers, recommended that Everett do honors. He's now enrolled in honors government citizenship, so it's not lost on us for him to be here with you today, as well as in a honors physical or science course. Allie is a student leader in the classroom and in athletics. She comes to AVHS from a middle school where 50% of the students attend one of 2 schools. And she'll speak to that experience there because that's not an easy thing for any 14-year-old to make a transition and to see that kids that you've gone to school with for a number of years are going elsewhere. In conclusion, I want to extend our heartfelt thanks for the opportunity to share how BAR is positively impacting our school community, and it's now my pleasure to introduce you to Everett and Allie, 2 examples of Eagle excellence and BAR's success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Principal. If students, if you would state your name first, and then you may begin.
My name is Everett Guzman-Reyes. Hello, Madam Chair, committee members. I'm a student from Apple Valley High School. BAR has helped me as a student for many good reasons. My first impression of this school and teachers were really good. I had made a community just by being at this school. The community and teachers were very friendly and open. This is what has helped me to communicate with them from a very early stage. In fact, my government teacher, who is one of the BAR teachers, Ms. Redmond, recommended me for honors, government, and citizenship. We are both very sad that I'm not in class anymore, but however, I'm still in an English course with another teacher, Mr. Franis, and I gladly have Allie in that too. I feel like I have always been supported to reach new goals and have been able to step out of my comfort zone to help others step out of theirs. I want to thank you guys for supporting us as students so that we can succeed and help others experience that success too. Thank you.
And you may begin.
Hello, Madam Chair, committee members. My name is Allison Kaler, and I'm a 9th grade student at App Valley High School. I'm a student who came from a split school. Most of my good friends went to Eastview. The only people I really knew were my hockey teammates. Having no classes with my teammates was pretty scary. But through iTime activities, I was able to get to know new people and step out of my comfort zone. Not only did iTime activities create new bonds with classmates, but also my teachers. My teachers have gotten to know who I am outside of just being a student. And for that has created a safe and welcoming environment that motivates me to do the best that I can. Through iTime activities, my teachers have learned that I like to take charge and be a leader, which makes me feel recognized and like I belong. I want to thank you guys for letting me come and share my experience and for supporting my school. Thank you.
Thank you both for coming in and sharing your experience, and I'm really glad and happy that you were able to build those kind of relationships that really made a difference to all of you. Thank you for bringing them in this morning.
Everett and Allie are just 2 examples.
Perfect. So as we talk about going beyond just an original idea here, I think it's been really amazing to kind of see that extension. Within weeks of starting the process of using the structure for the small block and the big block meetings, as Pete mentioned, our SAT team, which is deans and counselors and our social worker, our school psychologist, they started using this format for their meetings. What that started extending to then was this last year, we took the data that all of those 9th grade teachers had in working with those students and were able to share that with the 10th grade teachers that they were going to here this current school year. That's a new structure for us, that when a 10th grade teacher is facing 30 new learners that's in front of them, they're able to now know they can go to that spreadsheet and they can see who had that connection. They can go to that and find that strength. And it becomes kind of that important reminder that all of our kids have tremendous strengths that are there, and also that there's some trusted adults in the building that know some things that can help you problem solve. The other part, expanding to the middle schools, we revamped our process this last year about thinking about transitions. So a similar BAR spreadsheet is used in making those connections. As we know, going to high school and that 9th grade year is so important for setting what those next 4 years are going to look like. And I also tell students every year in August, no matter who you've been for the last 3 years, this is a new opportunity. You get to come together with kids from all these different schools and decide who you want to be. And I think that's been really important to be able to make that connection for these folks that got to know them over those really pivotal years of middle school and be able to share that, again, starting from a strength-based approach. And then finally, the work that we've been able to do here in working with our other comprehensive district high schools. We're very excited here that all of our APs from our 4 comprehensive high schools were able to go to the BAR conference this last year. I remember when we presented at Apple Valley High School last year, we had one of the board members follow up with me later and say, this should be at every school. and coming soon, it will be. So at all of our high school principal meetings, this is a standing item on our agendas, talking about the implementation and the onboarding. Our assistant principals, when they meet at each of their meetings here, they're talking about BAR and they're sharing those ideas. We get to be front runners in this, but we're very excited to be able to have added to our network those folks who are just right here that we collaborate with and that know our schools and know our systems and most importantly know our kids best. So Pete and Bill and another one of our deans, they put in and they'll be presenting here at the BAR National Conference here this next year. So we're excited about the opportunity that they continue to see for us to be able to share the good news. And we figured we would wrap up with one final video to just be able to hear from some of those students, and then we'll take questions on the other side.
BAR has made my job easier. It doesn't feel like another thing for me. It feels like something that is additive to what I'm already doing and helps me build connections with my students, helps me build connections with my colleagues, with administration, and I feel really supported through the program.
We get to pass on our observations and what we were able to collect throughout the year and kind of give like a good preemptive, strength-based, anchored approach for our 10th grade teachers before these kids even enter their classrooms for the next year. I'm really looking forward to the other schools within our district implementing this because we've seen it at Apple Valley as kind of these first couple of years of piloting this program. It works. The data validates it. The relationships validate BAR implementation. The community that I'm able to build with my kids and ultimately the people I work with every day validate this. And so be excited about it. It really does work and it adds more intent behind what we do, but also I truly feel more meaning.
So as we noted, we're incredibly proud and very excited about this here, and we understand that sometimes getting us in front of a microphone or talking with people about this is like taking a sip off the fire hydrant. So we will open it up if you folks have any questions for us about BAR and what we've been doing and where it's headed.
Thank you very much. Before I go to the board, are there any questions or comments from the audience? Mr. Breen, if you want to come up to the podium.
Thank you for the presentation. It's really an amazing program, and what it really, to me, it brought me to think about healthcare and the way collaborative care is and integrated care is kind of what's next in healthcare and spreading in all directions. And so I was really impressed with this and the excitement in the way you presented it, and more so the students. So really interesting and cool. But I wanted to just ask about your initial cost. I think it was $250,000. How does the future look with funding for something like this to expand it across the district?
Great question. Thank you, Representative Bierman. Anyone?
Yeah, so I can speak to that. So that cost for us, as I said, in these first 3 years is deferred through the grant. But also, I had seen this just years ago and being able to investigate and look into BAR. I just didn't own the budget as an associate principal before. So we're able to use part of our operating funds to be able to be a part of this. BAR has looked to expand. And different states and different districts have been able to find opportunities to be able to fund that. We feel confident with all 4 of our high schools that we're able to do that and do the full implementation. Part of what it does for us is it gives us the ability to be able to have the coaching session. So we have 3 times a year, we have a member from that BAR team that comes and sits in and spends a full day with us and then gives us feedback in that place. So that's been something that has been incredibly important. The other part is being able to offer the training for all of our teachers. So they have 3 years as they come onto those BAR teams. They have 3 years worth of training that they receive. And we've been able to do that in a cost-neutral way by embedding that into our workshop weeks when we come back in. So our slightly different schedule of how we start a school year has been helpful and beneficial for us to be able to make sure that everybody at day 1 is ready to go.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I suppose I'd be remiss by saying, too, if the legislature wants to provide any additional funding, we'll gladly take it. So. Any other questions or comments from the audience? Yes, would you like to come up to the podium real quick? Okay.
Yeah, we can get that data for you. We have that group, and we know we just actually completed. I was just working on completing our data for the most recent grade polls, as well as for participation in honors and CIS, AP classes, and then participation in activities in athletics. I am not certain why we don't have that data in. I will take a look and see, because that's one of the places that we're incredibly proud of for that factor, is that our participation as well as our success rates have been proportional to all of our students here.
Good question. Thank you.
But I will certainly follow up with you with that. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, I'll move to the board. Any questions or comments from school board members? Leah.
I just wanted to say real quick that, I just want to thank you basically for the hard work. We can sit up here and wring our hands about our metrics and how are we going to see movement on our opportunity gap, on our graduation rates, you name it. And this is the work, right? And I know that it's hard work, and the commitment that you all have to it is evident. I just want to thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. And I just emphasize, like, we've had all the right people, we have the right team, and a structure that helps to support that team. And I just would say also, like, to everybody in here that this district has really supported us in places to be able to make sure that we're able to get messaging out for educational benefits and for those other places that help to provide this. And this is, as you said, this is the work. We want all of our students. Our job is to positively impact the trajectory of every kid. And I haven't always seen programs that are that intentional about truly making sure that every student, whether we've traditionally served them well or those that we haven't as a system, to be included. So thank you.
Excellent. Catherine.
Sure. I also just wanted to thank you for amazing work. To see relationships and data paired together to tell the story is really amazing and encouraging. And then also it just brings to mind a couple things of I'm excited to see like the next MSS, the Minnesota Student Survey, to see how things might have changed there with like relationships with adults. That's really exciting to me. And so I had two questions about it. Just the first was that it's mentioned that goals are created for students. So I was just curious if the goals are shared with the student or if that's just within the adult space. And then the second question is that it happens in 9th grade, and you said this started in St. Louis Park, so there's been some time. Is it adequate to just have this in 9th grade, or is this systems change that happens in 9th grade with teachers, does it carry through the rest of high school so you don't need to have this like focus?
Great question, thank you. As regarding the goals, yes, absolutely, we do share them with the students, and we are intentional on SMART goals. They'll be better by the end of the month. We don't do that. It's very intentional on, whichever student will be caught up in math by the end of the week. Here's how we are going to intervene. Here's what we are going to do. Here's how we're going to follow up, and then we do that. We put in staff intervention. Who is going to be the person? Who is going to go meet with the student? Who is going to tell them, here's our goal, here's what we're going to do, here's how we're going to do it, here's how we're going to measure this. So absolutely share it out. And Drew can speak to part two.
And sorry, I was just thinking about an anecdotal piece. Can you give me the second question you had?
Sure, it's just, is 9th grade enough?
That's right.
Do we need
yeah,
to do this more?
Yeah, so kind of twofold. I think very briefly, one of the small block meetings that I sat in on last year, they were talking about goal setting for the students. And the beauty when you were looking at the redacted information on those sheets was seeing when you have kids in really good places, you can be really purposeful and intentional about those that are struggling in that space. And I watched the team at that time, they had hardly any students that were failing the class, so they spent their whole time on kids that didn't have a connection. And thinking about there, like a lot of times we have goals for other people and we forget to tell them. So to see the teachers go out and to do that session and check in with students and say, we have a science Olympiad. I think you'd be great for that. They were able to do that piece, and that's incredible. The other part is, as we said, when they have that strong foundation in their 9th grade year, we see those results carry through so well. So I do know of one school that coming out of the first couple of years of coming back after the initial onset of the pandemic, that they did a 10th grade pilot within there. That school has not been doing that because they've kind of found that it's a manageable number, that they know who those students are. So we're very open to scaling up, but I think the really important part is that we find that our students are at a really good spot to start, that's been really important for, for everybody to know that. The other part I think that's important is just, we really want kids to have lots and lots of opportunities and choices. So we kind of say we're workhorses and not show horses, and nobody's better at that than probably our assistant principal, Pete Biskin, who does that master schedule. When Pete talks about, he puts together that puzzle, the intentionality that he does in maneuvering and moving kids so that they can be in that structure is incredible. That's a ton of work for 500 kids that are in a 9th grade class. As they get older, it gets harder as they kind of look at all the different elective areas that they want to pursue. So we try to always let students figure out where they want to go, but we do try to guide that a lot in 9th and 10th grade so that they have as many places to be on track for graduation and as many opportunities to try. I think at one point we were up to 131 different courses that kids could choose from. So we want to make sure they can do that, and I think I might just lose Pete if I asked him to try to schedule all that for 4 years.
Great. It's really impressive. Thank you.
Thank you. I just had one comment quick and then a question. This is a fantastic program. I appreciate the overview tonight. It's been really, really important both for me and for the board to know that when we are trying and we are working on new frameworks or new interventions of any kind where we're investing strategically to help move the needle in some strategic method, that we are tracking the data to make sure that we are getting that return on investment so that we know when things are successful, but I'd even say more so that we know when they're not successful so that we can move on to another something that could, again, move the needle more. I just want to say I saw that data. I know we just got an overview of the data in today's presentation. I know you probably have a lot more in there. But I just wanted to really call out that I saw that move the needle, that data piece. So I just thought that was wonderful to be able to see that you're not just jumping into a program because it sounds great, but we're tracking to see what impact it's having on our students as well, which is just amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. I give my last shout out to Bill for that work that he does in there. His work in the spreadsheet is amazing, and we talk a lot about setting up our teachers for success, that when they're able to go to that meeting every week, the spreadsheet is already loaded with all of that data. We pull that grade data every 2 weeks so that they're not sifting through and trying to make sense of it. It's there for them so that they can act on it and be most respectful of their time and most impactful for students. So thank you.
Excellent. And then I just had one final question. The board could probably stay up here all night and learn more about this program, but I know our other presenters wouldn't like that. So how do you decide who's participating in the program student-wise? How is that selection happening?
Great question. A lot of different factors drive it. I would say the majority middle is where a lot of this ends up. However, I will say that after last year, when we got into, okay, let's see, who are the who's, the teachers, and who are what classes are they teaching, then it sees who fits there. We talked about, do we incorporate honors kids throughout all of the 3 areas? And one of the things we talked about was you worry about, have we built an unintentional track then? That these students are going to stay with each other through the whole day. They're going to be in band and choir, and now boom, boom, boom. And so we were cautious of that. As we added this year, one of the areas that we talked about, and I'm really proud of, is that we added in more co-taughts into these sections, getting involved of more of our special education students and our EL students. And that was intentional because we believe so firmly of how the teachers and the relationship building and the data tracking and the I-times and the social emotional learning could help impact and raise students that may have some different challenges as they come to us. And so the who's, it's built on a lot of different things. It's a lot of majority middle students, but I love the question about how do we add, how do we build? We're talking about this all the time. I love the idea of building it forward. Our math team came to me and said, Pete, we know math, we're all over the place with all the different classes and levels. Can we get the structure of how you do this? So we're going to do our math meetings like this now, and we're going to start from the strengths and the positives of our kids as we talk as learning teams. We're not a house, but we're going to use that within our math meetings, and so we love seeing that build forward as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Oh, Robin.
Thank you so much for all of this information. In looking at the grade data for over 2 years, I'm just wondering, has that, you said it's only ninth graders because it hasn't really been scalable for grades beyond that. But when you look at students who have gone through it, have they continued to have a decrease in their grades by the time they move through high school?
Thank you. That's a really good question. And I'll be honest, we haven't, for our 10th graders this year that were 9th graders last year, we haven't pulled the grade data and put it by students who were in bar or weren't in bar, but we're going to now. I'm going to work on that this week because that's an intriguing question that I don't have an answer to now, but that's something we can certainly look into because we can go back and look at who was in bar last year and run those numbers against current grade data. And that's going to be a great thing for us to look into. So we'll definitely, we'll do that. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Great.
I think the one place that I just add is that we are able to see that our 9th and our 10th graders continue to lead with the highest passing and proficiency rates when we look at that across the school. So that is something that is unique. That is not something that I was seeing 5, certainly not 10 years ago, where oftentimes it was those 9th grade, as students are just trying to understand a grade that really matters in something, a grade that works towards a graduation requirement. And we were very surprised to see at the end of the first trimester, and that carried throughout the year, that our 9th grade cohort actually led the school in passing percentage.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from board
I have
members?
one more,
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Catherine.
So knowing that not all ninth graders are in this program, what percentage of the ninth grade are in the program?
Like I said, last year we started small. 2 houses had about 160 students or so. I think we're at 250, 260. And so that's a little over half, 50%, almost 60% of our students are within the house. And then within that, how we designate it, how Barr says, is if at least 2/3 of their classes are within there. But we do have a lot of other students that may have 1 on-level earth science, but then 2 honors, and so they're not fully in, but they're still every 3 weeks part of this whole process.
And so understanding that the schedule is a very challenging piece, is the goal to get it to be 100% of ninth graders are experiencing some piece of this? Because I'm just thinking the relationship piece is so vital, and I'm thinking, it doesn't matter if you're high performing, struggling, that relationship is often what makes the difference in a student's success, however we define that. So is the goal 100% of ninth graders?
Possibly. And I say that intentionally with, it's a great question, and we want to make sure that we're doing it well. And also with budgeting and scheduling and staffing, it might just not fit every time. But to your point, when I presented this in our fall back to school, we talked Barr as a whole staff. And our last slide, I remember it, what about me? And we talked all about that, of if you're not in a house, if you're not a Barr teacher, but how can you incorporate these strategies and these skills and these times? And so we have presented it and made it available to our other ninth grade teachers that aren't necessarily in the house. But again, as things organically grow, we had our junior AP teachers came to me and said, can you pull a list of all the students that share us 4 teachers, because we are going to start meeting before school and following this model with our AP students, because I think we share a lot and we may organically be a house of our own. And so we're watching that grow and progress as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing with us tonight, and we will look forward to hearing how this progresses as we roll it out to other schools as well. Thank you. All right. Next on our agenda, I would like to welcome Jeremy Sorensen to the podium and Eric Hansen to go over our spring assessment preview.
All right. Good evening, Chair Johnson, members of the board, and Superintendent Bolsoni. Tonight, Eric Hansen and I are here to discuss our spring assessment process at the elementary and secondary levels. The goal today is to provide a high-level overview of the assessments our students will engage in this spring. There's no action for the board to take on this item. We're simply providing information regarding our spring assessments. All right, and when considering our strategic roadmap, our assessment framework aligns closely with our strategic priorities and specifically with achievement. And then before we go into actual assessments, I just want to give kind of an overview of the types of assessments we provide. Assessments that our students take fall under 3 different categories: summative, screener, and diagnostic. And each of these assessment types has a different purpose or a different use. So a summative assessment is often called an outcome assessment, is a measure of student learning at the end of an instructional period. It evaluates mastery of academic standards and provides data on program effectiveness. Summative assessments help educators understand overall student achievement and make data-informed decisions for curriculum instruction at a really high level. And then a screener is a brief research-based assessment used to identify students who may need additional support. These assessments are administered to all students at set intervals. Screeners help educators detect early learning gaps, guide instructional decisions, and support interventions within a multi-tiered system of supports or framework. And then a diagnostic assessment. It's a detailed evaluation used to identify students' specific strengths and areas of need in a particular subject. So unlike screeners, diagnostic assessments provide in-depth insights into skill gaps, learning progress, and instructional needs, and they help educators tailor instruction, provide targeted interventions, and support data-driven decisions making within a multi-tier system of support framework. So now we're going to talk about actual assessments, and I'm going to talk about the assessments that our elementary students will engage in this spring. There's 4 main assessments that I want to talk about. And these are the assessments that either all of our students will take or large numbers of our students will take, and I'll describe that a little bit. So first, we're going to talk about probably the most well-known assessment our students engage in each spring, the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessment, or MCA, and the Minnesota Test of Academic Skills, or MTAS. These are state-required tests administered annually to measure student progress toward Minnesota academic standards in reading, mathematics, and science. Reading and math is assessed in grades 3 through 5, and science is assessed in grade 5 at the elementary levels. These assessments are considered summative and provide data on student achievement at the school, district, and state levels, helping educators identify instructional needs and evaluate program effectiveness. So the next, we use FastBridge, which is a research-based universal screener tool used to assess student skills in reading and mathematics in grades K-5. FastBridge is administered 3 times a year. These brief assessments help identify students who may need additional support. FastBridge data supports our multi-tiered system of support framework by helping educators provide targeted interventions and track student growth over time. This is a state requirement and is one of the screening tools approved by the state of Minnesota through the READ Act. This is a new assessment, or a fairly new assessment to us. This is the 2nd year we've engaged in the reading portion and the 1st year we've engaged in the math portion. So another assessment that we use in the spring is the ACCESS, or Assessing Comprehension and Communication in English State to State. This assessment is an English language proficiency assessment administered annually to multilingual learners in grades K-12. It measures students' skills in listening, speaking, reading, and writing in academic English. The results help educators track language development, guide instructional decisions, and determine when students are ready to exit English language support programs. And then lastly, at the elementary level, iReady Math. It's an assessment we do 3 times a year with students in grades K through 5. It can be used as both a screener and a diagnostic tool. The assessment adjusts in difficulty based on student responses, providing a personalized measure of skills across grade levels. The results help educators track progress, guide instructional decisions, and support differentiated instruction within a multi-tiered system of support framework. This assessment aligns with our new math curriculum and is a district-guided practice. This assessment is also new to us. This is the first year that we're using this. So that's a picture of the elementary. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Eric to discuss spring assessments at the secondary level.
Okay, thank you, Director Sorensen. As I walk you through the secondary test here, I want you to know that each of our schools has a designated testing contact that can answer questions for families or anybody else that might have questions about tests that are coming up. And also underneath the academic tab on each school's webpage, there's a comprehensive list of student tests, their dates, the purposes, and more. So while I share brief information about some of the tests we administer, the full list is on our webpage and under the webpage of each of the schools. So you're going to hear some repeats here. So the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessment, the MCA, or the MTAS, which is the Minnesota Test of Academic Skills, which is an alternative for students with significant cognitive disabilities. They're also given to students in grades 6 through 8, 10, and 11 in our secondary schools. These tests are administered each spring and assess reading, math, and science depending on the student's grade level. Official results for the MCA and the MTAS are usually made available in September. We administer 2 types of MAP tests. The MAP Screener, which is a short 25-minute test for students in grades 6 through 9. It is given 3 times a year with results provided shortly after each test. This screener helps our teachers identify areas where students may need remediation or enrichment. Our 6th grade students, like those in the elementary school, also take the FastBridge screener in the beginning of the school year. This provides math and reading teachers with quick insights of their students' skills. The MAP Diagnostic Test, this is a more in-depth test lasting about an hour, and it's given to our students in grades 6 through 8, 1 or maybe 2 times a school year, typically in the fall and then again in the winter. The diagnostic test provides detailed information about a student's reading and math abilities. Again, the Access test is given to our English language learners to assess English proficiency. Administered in the middle of the school year, it allows teachers to measure progress in English acquisition. This test takes approximately 2 hours. Of course, there's breaks in there too. In April, our 10th grade students take the pre-ACT, which prepares them for the ACT test that they will take in 11th grade. The results help students gauge their readiness for the 11th grade ACT. The pre-ACT takes around 2.5 hours to complete, and it's really the first time our students experience a time test. Again, in April for our 11th grade students, they take the ACT, which measures their academic readiness for post-secondary education. And like the pre-ACT, the ACT test is timed. Our district provides this test at no charge to our 11th grade students. Test results are available usually in about 4 weeks after the test is completed. AP exams are for students, and again, AP is for advanced placement, are for students that are currently enrolled in the advanced placement courses. These exams are administered in April, and with a qualifying score, students may earn college credit for the subjects they have studied. The bilingual SEALS test for 12th grade students measures language proficiency in languages other than English. It recognizes the linguistic assets students possess and is typically taken by around 300 students in our district. This test assesses reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills in another language other than English. Successfully performing on the bilingual SEALs also provides a college credit to schools in the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities system. So every 3 years, we've talked a little bit about this tonight, we administer the Minnesota Student Survey to students in grades 8, 9, and 11. Our students just recently completed this statewide student survey. The results of this survey provide valuable insights into a student's well-being and their experiences in our schools. It covers aspects such as health, safety, and academic successes. Later during Director Hughes' report, she will discuss some of our district goals and how they're aligned with the tests that we just discussed. At this time, Director Sorensen and I are happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. At this time, are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? Excellent. Thank you very much for the update, and good luck on the upcoming assessments. Next on the agenda, I'd like to welcome Rachel Hughes to the podium to go over a comprehensive achievement and civic readiness report.
All right. Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, members of the board, and Superintendent Bosomi. I am here this evening to present an annual update on the comprehensive achievement in civic readiness. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. This presentation is part of an annual requirement to ensure the community and the school board are part of the long-term strategic planning for instruction. It aligns with our strategic priorities of achievement and equity. Comprehensive Achievement in Civic Readiness, or CACR, because we love acronyms in education, was legislation formerly known as the World's Best Workforce. CACR is intended to ensure that school districts enhance student achievement through teaching and learning support so that students are career and college ready at graduation. Comprehensive Achievement in Civic Readiness is replacing World's Best Workforce to emphasize the dual roles for the goals set forth in the district plans. The district plan is a multi-year detailed document that illustrates how our district will execute their goals or initiatives. MDE recommends that districts develop goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, or SMART goals. The goals support students with academic achievement within their pre-K through 12th grade experience, as well as preparing them to be active members of the community after graduation. The changes take effect for the Fall 2025 Annual Summary Report. The purpose of today is to inform you about the goals, and there will be no action required tonight. Comprehensive achievement in civic readiness goals include 5 areas. All children are ready for school. All students are ready for career and college. All students graduate high school. Students are prepared for lifelong learning, and all racial and economic achievement gaps between schools are closed. Thank you to Director Hansen and Director Sorensen for sharing the spring testing information. The data from those assessments help us determine the goals and strategies I will be sharing with you tonight. So in the graphs I show you this evening, the red line is the trajectory to the goal, and the blue line represents the actual results. Following MDE guidelines, our goals are set for a 3% point increase. For the first goal, all children are ready for school, we think of this as kindergarten readiness. With the adoption of FastBridge universal screening, we're able to update this goal to measure the readiness of all incoming kindergarten students. The goal states the percentage of students entering kindergarten who meet the fall benchmark as measured by the FastBridge early reading assessment will increase from 60.2% in fall 2023 to 63.3% in fall 2024. This is a 3 percentage point increase, which we hope to see each of the next 3 years, which is why the goal is 69.3% in 3 years. This goal was measured this fall during assessment days, and I can report 62.1% of kindergarten students met the fall benchmark on the early reading assessment. While we did not reach our targeted growth, we saw moderate growth level. To support our work in this goal, our pre-K programs are using Teaching Strategies Gold, which is an observational assessment tool that captures student progress to inform individualized instruction, support family partnerships, and provide data to drive decisions and program improvement. It is aligned with our state's early learning standards and measures literacy, math, language, social, emotional, cognitive, and physical development. Additionally, our pre-K programs are utilizing the Minnesota Department of Education's Successful Learner Equation. The Successful Learner Equation is a collaboration between schools and communities that increases access to services, providing ongoing opportunities for family engagement, and challenges systematic barriers that affect the school experience. The Successful Learner Equation reminds us that it's not the responsibility of the child to be ready for school, but is the responsibility of adults. programs and systems to be ready to support each child. We measure the next comprehensive achievement and civic readiness goal. All students are ready for career and college, with 3 components. The first component uses the State Accountability Test, Minnesota Comprehensive Exams, or known as MCAs, or Minnesota Test of Academic Skills, also known as MTAS, because we need more acronyms. The goal states the percentage of students in grades 3 through 8 and 10 who demonstrate reading proficiency as measured by the MCA MTAS exam will increase from 57.2% in 2024 to 60.2% in 2025. In the past 3 years, our reading proficiency levels have remained stable, as you can see in the graph. To support this work, we rolled out our new literacy curriculum at the elementary level. This curriculum implementation, coupled with the READAC literacy training, OLA, that our K-5 and special ed teachers are completing, and furthering dedicated time to WIN, What I Need at the elementary schools, is focused on literacy intervention and enrichment. The second component of all students are ready for career and college is math. Just like reading, we use the MCA or MTAS. The goal states the percentage of students in grades 3 through 8 and 11 who demonstrate math proficiency as measured by the MCAs or MTAS exam will increase from 55% in 2024 to 58% in 2025. We saw moderate growth over the past few years, and we hope to hit the targeted growth of 3 percentage points per year. To support this work, we rolled out our new math curriculum, iReady, at the elementary level. This data-driven curriculum, in partnership with Universal Screening and Diagnostics, allows teachers to frequently measure student growth and adjust to the identified learning gaps of students. For our middle level, we are in the process of curriculum adoption in math, and we will report back once that process is complete. And now for the third and final component of all students are ready for career and college is the ACT test. We offer the ACT test to all grade 11 students during the school year at no cost to the students. The goal states the percentage of grade 11 students who meet or exceed the ACT College Readiness Benchmark Composite score of 21 will increase from 47.1% in 2024 to 50.1% in 2025. The impact of the pandemic, particularly the loss of face-to-face instruction time, has contributed to a 2-year decline in college readiness among our high school students. Like many other schools nationwide, we have seen a drop in the number of students meeting the ACT College Readiness benchmark. To reverse this trend, our staff is implementing targeted strategies, such as all 10th grade students take the pre-ACT to familiarize themselves with the test rigor and length, while pre-ACT helps teachers identify and address specific learning gaps. Additionally, some of our high schools offer an ACT prep course elective during the school day, and our investment in strengthening core curriculum at both the elementary and secondary levels will positively impact future ACT scores. Schools also use site-level data to set goals, identify areas for improvement, and implement targeted instruction. ACT preparation, focused skill building, and regular progress monitoring help students close learning gaps and improve in performance. The third comprehensive and achievement readiness goal, all students graduate from high school, will, with the goal shown here, the overall district 4-year graduation rate will increase from 88.7 in 2023 to 91.3 in 2024. As you can see from the graph, the 4-year graduation rate has remained constant for the past few years. Note that MDE releases the official graduation rate for the class of 2024 next month. Therefore, we do not know the exact number yet. Our goal is to increase by 2% each year and achieve a 95% graduation rate by 2026. To help just achieve this goal, all of our school administrators and support staff are working to improve attendance rates for all students. This is essential to allow our exceptional teaching staff to improve student outcomes and increase course completion rates. Our secondary schools are piloting 2 national programs to support these efforts. Middle schools are using survey data to align practices, and high schools are piloting BAR, which you heard about tonight. And the fourth goal, this year, the lifelong learning goal is a new area for CACR. We will be collecting feedback from different partners to determine our goal areas for 25-26 school year. Once we have the goal area selected, we will establish baseline data and set the goal accordingly. I look forward to partnering with you as we determine how to measure this goal. And the last area in CACR is closing the achievement gaps. At the district level, we identify and monitor how all groups of students are responding to strategies used to increase proficiency, specifically for underrepresented students. At the district level, we disaggregate the data using MDE categories shown on the chart with regards to each of our CACR goals that have already been presented. The achievement gap data is presented to you in the board handouts. Additionally, the integration and achievement plan specifically identifies strategies including AVID, exposure to rigorous coursework, family engagement, and multi-layered supports aimed at closing achievement gaps. Data analysis is also happening at the building level. We monitor disaggregated data as part of the MTSS framework to identify building-wide interventions and supports that will decrease gaps and significantly identify students in need of intervention and enrichment. So there are many data points that a district can measure, and what we have provided tonight is really a high-level overview of summative data that the state requires districts to track. We hope this builds on our discussions about utilizing data to make decisions and improve achievement. We will continue to bring you more data throughout the spring, especially after assessments have been completed. Thank you, and at this time, are there any questions?
Thank you. This time, are there any questions or comments from the audience? If you have a question, if you could just come up to the podium quick.
Hi, my name's Katie. I'm a third grade teacher here in the district. I had a couple quick questions. So I think the district has provided some really great norming baseline items for us in terms of like establishing consistent curriculum, what we're teaching kids, et cetera. So I've already seen in my classroom tons of great growth from what we've already implemented. I also just am thinking about our early childhood learners. And so, Rachel, I heard you say that it's really about, not necessarily putting this on the kids for being prepared, but primarily the adults, which is absolutely true. And also, like as a parent of a 4-year-old and someone who's been teaching kids for a long time, I also know that there are developmental readiness levels that do inhibit kids' ability to be able to learn academic content just based on where they're at. So I do have just a couple quick questions. You shared the kindergarten data for readiness. I am curious, based on the assessment measures that are being used in the early childhood programs, what percentage of those students are aligning with the kindergarten readiness for the beginning of year targets? So that's just kind of one question I'm curious about. I'm also curious about, along with that, with those developmental readiness tools that early childhood is using, when we see students who are struggling in early childhood and they move forward into kindergarten, what tools are we implementing to help support them? And then I might have one more question for you past that.
And I'll just jump into, I know a lot of times when we get specific questions, just so you know, if you want to give your contact information, sometimes you have to follow up on that. So, but we'll always get that to you if you could give up contact information to Kristen on the side there. But if you have anything to add, Rachel.
Thank you for the questions. I think for the first one, I would have to spend some time just diving into the data to make sure that I'm addressing your question, if you're okay with that. And the second one's how do we prepare for the pre-K students going into kindergarten? I would say that first step is really having parents complete the screener so we know where students are at as they come in. Those assessment days that we have with kindergarten teachers is really helpful in that we have students who come in and we can gauge their readiness in the academic pieces. And as we get to know them, then we're able to really help and support them in their social emotional piece. I think I would like further conversation maybe with my pre-K counterpart, the director there, to be able to answer further more maybe what pre-K would look like for that answer. All right. Thanks.
Thank you, and thank you for the question. Any other questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? I guess I will, well, I guess I have, one's more of a comment. I guess they're both comments, but one, I'll be the person. I hated the title World's Best Workforce. It never made any sense when people, I actually love this change just to the name so much better. I think it more accurately reflects what we're actually talking about. So I know we didn't have a choice in that. That came from the state, but I just wanted to say, I actually, this kind of aligns a little bit, even though it's the same information. And one other thing I just kind of wanted to call out, you know, I know you have goals in here on a lot of these, and you have a lot of data. I actually really appreciated seeing some areas in here where we are still exploring ways to get the great data. And I think that's okay. I think that's good as long as, you know, we're making effort to it. And I know I've also had a lot of conversations with Superintendent Bolsoni about, goals are less important to me because I think they're great, but if we don't hit it, if we don't hit a goal, I'm, as a board member, okay with that as long as we're learning why we didn't hit it and assessing those methods so that we can learn and get better. So I saw there was one area on here where we didn't hit our goal, somewhere we're still collecting data, and I just wanted to say I think that's an okay thing because it forces us to reflect and learn on what we did and what we can do better. And that's the whole purpose of what we're doing. So I just wanted to kind of call that out and saying, just because we don't hit a goal, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's an opportunity to learn and grow, so.
Thank you, Chair Johnson, for both of those. I appreciate the name change as well, and I think this gives us the opportunity to really dive into the data to see which of our initiatives are producing outcomes for students and maybe which ones do we need to let go and try something new. So I appreciate that comment.
Love that. Thank you. Robin, did you have a question come up?
I did.
Yeah.
I thought of a question. So I do love that we're always trying to improve. We're trying to serve our students well. We're trying to close the achievement gap, all of those things. As someone who is new to the board, but who has been in a variety of district committees, sometimes the amount we're trying to improve by seems arbitrary. Like we've just sort of picked a number, you know, we're going to get better, you know, we're going to hit 60.2. And I don't understand what goes in, the thinking behind how we pick those numbers. So would you mind explaining that?
Yeah, so there's a 3% growth is what MDE recommends because that's when the data is significantly different. So they look for a 3% is kind of what they recommend. So most of the integrals then that you'll see are 3% year after year after year to try to get to our goal.
Got it. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments from board members? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it and look forward to seeing how the data progresses. All right. We have no old business on the agenda tonight, so that brings us to new business, and I'll welcome Danny Duchesne to the podium to go over 2025-26 capital expenditure budget.
All right, good evening, Chair Johnson, Superintendent Bolsoni, members of the school board, and the District 196 community. My name is Danny Duchesne, Coordinator of Finance here for District 196. Tonight, District Administration presents the 25-26 capital budget for a first reading and review. The 25-26 capital budget will be brought back to the board with a more detailed budget book and recommended approval at the April 14th, 2025 school board meeting. The capital budget focuses on the resources strategic priority within the district's strategic roadmap, connecting our staff and students with the proper facilities, equipment, and access to curriculum resources to execute the remaining initiatives on our roadmap. The capital budget focuses on 3 separate capital-related funding sources: operating capital, long-term facilities maintenance, which you'll hear me refer to as LTFM, and the capital projects levy. Each of these budgets have unique details that differentiate it from the others. One quick note is that the building bond projects that Director Stotts presented earlier tonight are not included in this presentation tonight. Those projects are funded and executed on their own separate process and their own separate timeline. It's important to note that all 3 of these budgets presented tonight have an annual revenue component and hold a restricted fund balance on the district's balance sheet. This means that revenue we receive for these programs must be used solely for the purposes outlined in statute for these programs. And any unspent funds from one year carry over to the following year and stay restricted in that individual program. As I mentioned at the top of the presentation, tonight is the first reading of the capital budget for 25-26. We will be back at the April 14th board meeting for recommended approval. It's important to identify that the capital budget is approved on an earlier timeline than the rest of the preliminary budget. We bring back the entire preliminary budget to the board in June. There are three main reasons why capital is done on an earlier timeline. First and foremost, when we order major pieces of equipment, the lead time to get those, or delivery time to get those pieces of equipment, is still quite extensive for some different types of equipment. So ordering earlier, we get them earlier in the year in which we plan to put them into use. Secondly, some of these projects and some of these purchases require additional steps in the procurement process. They might require public bids. They might require additional quotes. And so this allows us to complete those additional steps in a more timely manner. And secondly, specifically as we're referring to a lot of building renovation and building improvements, we try to complete as many of those during the summer months as we possibly can, when our buildings are less busy. Adding that component to the fact that a lot of those projects are over the bid threshold, we have those additional steps for procurement. The earlier the capital budget gets approved, the earlier we can start planning out those projects, and also then minimizing the disruption we have in our school buildings during the school year. Included in your board packet tonight is a more detailed summary of the information that I'll cover over the next few slides. Let's begin by looking at the operating capital budget. The district receives revenue each year for the operating capital budget in the form of both state aids and property taxes through the certified levy. Operating capital fund expenditures generally fall into a few of the following categories. We have building and ice arena leases, curriculum resources, building and site renovations, major equipment purchases, and some technology needs. The district anticipates a beginning fund balance for the 25-26 school year of $3.8 million in the operating capital funds. Fiscal year 26 new revenues are projected at $12.9 million, of which $9 million will be coming from property tax levy and $3.9 million from state aids. $15.7 million in expenditures leaves an anticipated fund balance at the end of the 25-26 school year of about $1 million. Similar to operating capital revenue, the district receives revenue for long-term facility maintenance projects, or LTFM projects, in the form of both state aids and property taxes. The program primarily focuses on maintenance and replacement of existing systems and infrastructure with comparable upgrades. Some of the main categories for LTFM projects include health and safety, internal mechanical systems, interior surface replacements such as flooring and paint, and roofing projects. Financially speaking, the district projects a fiscal year 26 beginning fund balance of $2.3 million within the LTFM program. Projections for 25-26 revenue is $12.6 million and $12 million in expenses, resulting in a projected fiscal year 26 ending fund balance of around $2.9 million restricted for our LTFM uses. The third and final component of the capital budget is the capital projects levy. The capital projects levy is a voter-approved levy, with the current capital projects levy approved by voters in November of 2015 and entering its 10th year in the 25-26 school year. One difference is the capital projects levy does not include a state aids component. Over 90% of revenue for this particular budget comes from property tax revenue, with the remaining portion classified as miscellaneous revenue from E-rate reimbursements and the sale of iPads. The capital projects levy primarily focuses on instructional technology needs, such as District 101 iPads, computers, classroom instructional equipment, and software licenses. The district projects a fiscal year 26 beginning fund balance of $6.3 million in the capital projects levy, revenues of $9.7 million, and as mentioned, 9.1 of that is specifically coming from the levy, and expenditures of $9 million result in a projected 25-26 ending fund balance of $6.9 million. As I said, we'll be back with 25-26 capital expenditure budget at the April 14th board meeting, and we'll also include a detailed itemized budget book for your review and approval at that time.
Excellent.
And at this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. At this time, are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? That's good. We look forward to seeing you in April for the second reading.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Right. Next on the agenda, I'd like to welcome Jill Coyle to the podium to go over Policy 503, our student cell phone policy.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, members of the board, and Superintendent Bolsoni. I am before you tonight with new business to review proposed changes to Policy 503, Student Rights and Responsibilities. The draft policy is in your packet, and the specific changes I'm going to discuss today can all be found in Section 7 of the draft policy. The changes primarily relate to student possession of cell phones in school. So first, a little bit of background before I talk about the proposed changes. I think it's helpful to know the district's history with cell phone, student cell phone regulation in the district. So in District 196, limitations on student cell phone possession at school are currently covered in the overview of student rights and responsibilities. That's our annual student handbook that goes out to all families. The current handbook makes it clear that student cell phones should generally be kept out of sight during the school day, and it directs students to follow their individual school's specific expectations about student cell phone use. In turn, each of the district's schools have written guidance on student cell phone use and possession, and that's communicated on an annual basis and, frankly, all the time in our schools to students. Generally speaking, again, cell phones should be off and away during the instructional day, and high school students have the privilege to use cell phones during passing time and at lunch as long as the privilege is used in a responsible manner. And we hear from our schools that these protocols are working well. So with that background in terms of the district's regulation, the reason for tonight's policy proposal relates to a new state law that was passed by the legislature in 2024, requiring all school districts to adopt a cell phone policy by March 15th of 2025. As I indicated, this is already a topic that District 196 regulates. We're not necessarily looking to change our existing practices. They're working well, but we wanted to develop some very specific policy language so that it would appear in a policy rather than simply the handbook or in school-specific protocols, and also to take the opportunity to further refine the language. And so that's what's in front of you tonight. What I'd like to do is itemize the various provisions that you can see in your draft policy, and we'll talk through those one by one. First, you'll notice that the policy has a purpose statement, and it, by and large, emphasizes the need for a distraction-free learning environment. The policy goes on to include a description of the limitations on student possession and use of cell phones, including that requirement that cell phones are off and out of sight during the school day. Exceptions continue to be permitted for the responsible use of cell phones by high school students during lunch and passing time. And then students at all levels are permitted to use cell phones before and after the instructional day, again, as long as they're being used responsibly. Further, teachers may permit cell phone use for specific instructional and curricular purposes. The policy has additional restrictions on using cell phones in bathrooms and locker rooms, and prohibitions on the use of cell phones to violate other types of district policies, such as bullying, harassment, that sort of thing. Continuing on, you'll see that the policy includes a direction to schools to establish and communicate specific rules and protocols consistent with the policy. So that practice will continue. Each school will continue to communicate directly with students about particulars of the implementation of the policy in each individual school. There is a provision for or various provisions for policy violations, including provisions regarding student discipline, confiscation of cell phones, and circumstances in which the privilege to carry a cell phone at school may be lost due to violations. The policy authorizes administrators to grant exceptions for emergencies or disability-related accommodations. And then finally, the policy addresses the risk of loss, family responsibilities under the policy, and circumstances in which the policy may apply to other types of personal electronic devices. In addition to the provisions that I just talked about with regard to cell phones, you may notice as you work through the policy that there are a few other highlighted changes in areas that don't relate to cell phone use. Those are largely technical changes. We're looking to get caught up with other regulations or law or make minor improvements. Happy to talk about any of those as well if they caught your eye, but I'll assure you that they're more technical in nature. So with that, I don't have anything further for you other than to say it is a review item. It'll come back to you for action in March. But I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. This time, are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? Fantastic. We will see you next month for the second reading.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Board members, we're nearing the end of our agenda tonight, but we are at the bare bones of a quorum. So I just want to check, are we okay to continue? Do you need a 5-minute recess? Because we can't take a vote if someone has to get up and leave in the next part.
I think I can.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Good carry you through? Just want to double check. So perfect. All right. Next comes to our other action item, and I would like to welcome Virgil Jones, Lisa Turgeon, and Nicole Lone Tree Poval to the podium to go over our Native American Parent Advisory Committee resolution of concurrence. I know it's been a long board meeting tonight. Thank you so much for waiting with us.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, school board members, and Superintendent Bolsoni. My name is Virgil Jones. I'm the Director of Equity and Inclusion. I have the honor of supporting the district's American Indian Education Program. Joining me this evening is Chairperson Nicole Lone Tree Brovold. We are also joined by Katie Colson, who is a member of our Native American Parent Advisory. We welcome Lisa Turgeon as well, who's the coordinator of American Indian Education, who will assist in the presentation tonight. We are here tonight to provide you an overview and an update on the American Indian Education Program. We also are here to ask for your approval as we present the resolution of the vote of concurrence from American Indian Education. And I'll just invite Nicole and Lisa to the podium.
Thanks, Virgil. Hello, everyone. We're going to start our presentation with the Dakota Land Acknowledgement. We want to acknowledge that District 196 resides within Minnesota Makoche, a Dakota place, and that this land has been the homeland of the Dakota people and the Oceti Sakowin, or Seven Council Fire, for every generation since their creation at Pedote. Minnesota Makoche, the land where waters reflect the skies, is Dakota land. Minnesota is also the home of the Anishinaabe and many other indigenous peoples who have and do contribute to the overall foundation of this region. We encourage all members of District 196 community to join us in learning more about the people, contributions, sovereignty, and treaty rights of the Dakota and the Anishinaabe people. District 196 will continue to strengthen our relationship with Minnesota's 11 sovereign nations and indigenous communities and families. So hello again, my name is Lisa Turgeon. I am the program coordinator for the American Indian Education Program here in District 196. I wanted to introduce my team. We have a team of cultural family advocates, starting with Georgia Valandra, Francisca Stanstrong, Fonda Smith, and I'm excited to announce that we hired 2 additional CFAs this school year, Rachel Thies and Katie Smith. And together we provide Indian education programming pre-K to 21-year-old students across the district in a variety of ways, and we'll go through some of the services that we provide our students. I wanted to highlight the strategic roadmap, specifically the vision in developing the whole student and honoring the diverse needs and cultures of our students, because that aligns perfectly with our mission. Our mission is to meet the unique and academic and cultural needs of our Native American students. Our program is funded primarily with 2 grants, one through the state, Minnesota Department of Education, and the other through Title VI, the Indian Education Formula Grant. With those 2 grants, we have a number of objectives that we work towards every year. Those include providing post-secondary academic achievement services. We work towards making the curriculum relevant for the needs and interests of our American Indian pupils, provide positive reinforcement of the self-image of American Indian pupils, develop intercultural awareness among pupils, parents, and staff. And then our Title VI funding focuses on increasing academic achievement, knowledge and cultural identity and awareness, and enhance problem solving and cognitive skill development, directly supporting the attainment of state standards and increasing our parents' participation in our program and within our schools in District 196. So we have, I wanted to review, sorry, can you guys hear me okay? I wanted to review our enrollment numbers. So every year our MDE funding comes from the state, and that depends on the number of state-coded American Indian students in our district. And right now we have 585 American Indian students in District 196. When I first started in 2017, I think we had just under 300. So we have shown a significant growth in our student population. And in addition to the growth of our program over the past 8 school years. Out of our students, out of these 585 students, they represent 66 different tribal sovereign nations from across the United States. Each year, we provide a survey for our parents. It's a needs assessment that is required through Title VI. We use the results of this program to drive our programming each school year because we want to get feedback from our parents about what we can do to best meet their students. And so we really appreciate the feedback that we get from from our parents who take this survey. So here's just some highlights of the results that we have. 98% said that we are providing programs and supports for their students. 43%, which is the top priority of responses that we got, said that they wanted to see hands-on learning experiences for their students. And then also provide, the second one was called provide college and career readiness programming. 70% of our parents thought that programming during the school day was the most important time of when we can provide our services. And so those, just a review of our services, we provide academic programming that includes our cultural family advocates providing ongoing monitoring of our students' progress, their grades, attendance, and credits at their schools. We provide in-school student groups at elementary, middle, and high school levels. And then we offer family engagement programming such as our Family Math Night that we host at Oak Ridge. We have a STEM event that we do at Apple Valley High School. And then we also do a family literacy night every year. And we get a lot of support from Jeremy and Rachel, who came this year to talk about our elementary efforts in our classrooms and how we're including Dakota and Ojibwe voices in our classrooms. So that was great. Thank you, guys. We also provide cultural enrichment programming, and we offer that in a variety of different ways. One of them is we have ongoing craft nights every other Thursday at Silver Bell Learning Center. We have drum and dance class where we teach our students how to sing powwow songs and to dance at powwows, and then that leads up to our South of the River powwow that we have every year. We also have in-school cultural learning supports. We have like an elementary Native authored book club that we meet with elementary students. We provide language learning opportunities, and we also have set up Rosetta Stone subscriptions for our students so that they can learn the Ojibwe language on their own. Like I said, our college and career readiness was one of our top responses from our parents, and we provide that through our ACT prep program, and also the many different college campus tours that we visit. We try to show our students a variety of different campuses, from public campuses, private colleges, technical colleges, and we've also made sure to include tribal colleges And so this year we went to the Red Lake Nation Tribal College, which is, they have a Minneapolis campus located across from US Bank Stadium, and so we took students there. We also have a annual graduation honoring every May, and that will be on May 17th, and we always host it at Central Park, and so we always invite our school board to attend that meeting, and I think we believe we shared that date and time with Kristen, and so she'll share that with you as well. But yeah, it's a really big event where we highlight the many accomplishments of our graduates. And we also include our graduating class, our preschool graduates, kindergarten graduates, 5th grade and 8th grade as well. So it's a really big community event at the end of the school year that we host. I think I mentioned also before that we do family engagement programming, and that's kind of, we try to increase the parent participation, so that's why we do so much family engagement. And so every year we kick off the school year with the Indigenous Peoples Day celebration, and this year we were at Falcon Ridge Middle School where we had Jackie Bird come in and do a drum and dance exhibition for our families. We also have a lending library. We have a very large collection of Native authored books that we share with teachers across the district if they need support in having any literary resources they can use in their classrooms. In addition to, we have built 2 Dakota and Ojibwe learning trunks that teachers can check out and use to help teach those state standards that have Ojibwe and Dakota perspectives in there. We have also expanded that program through the help of the Equity Department, so we have now 2 sets of Dakota and Ojibwe trunks, and we're working on a 3rd set for our teachers to use as well. With that, I wanted to invite up our chairperson of our Parent Advisory Committee, who will go over the vote of concurrence. So thank you, guys. Oh, shoot, one more. So the South River POW, I wanted to especially invite you guys to that too. Every year we partner with our South Metro Indian Education neighbors, so Farmington, Lakeville, Burnsville, there's a lot, the South Metro, Shakopee, Prior Lake, and we host a powwow at Burnsville High School. This year it will be at Saturday, May 3rd at 1 p.m. And so I wanted to highlight, we do an art contest every school year, and so first and second place were District 196 students. You'll see Ilona did the strawberry and the fish drawing, and that is going to be our powwow poster, and we'll use that for all our publicity and our t-shirts for the powwow. So you guys, I would love to see you guys there. Now I would like to invite up Nicole Lone Tree and our NAPAC board.
Just this. Good evening, everyone. I'm Nicole Lone Tree Brovold. I'm the chairperson of our Native American Parent Advisory Committee. I'm an enrolled citizen of the Ho-Chunk Nation, and I have 3 kids in the district. I have a 9th grader, a 4th grader, and a 1st grader. Our board consists of everybody listed here. Some people could not make it tonight. Monica is our vice chairperson. Sienna is our secretary. Mark is our MDE representative. Katie is here. And then we have 4 student reps. And one of the things that we started with our student reps is we wanted to have more kids engaged on the board. We wanted to hear their voices, their opinions. And so we opened it up to middle school and high school students. And we have a really good mix of kids from across the district. So we get to hear about all the different schools, which is nice. Okay, there we go. Okay, so every year our board has to do a vote of concurrence. So we reviewed our district updates and looked at the academic offerings for our secondary students, efforts to create Indigenous language in high school. We take our parent guardian survey results, and then we make recommendations to the school board every February at this meeting. And then we also look at the progress on our American Indian Education Program measures. At this meeting, we also voted that our district was in concurrence, and then we also made future goals for recommendations. So these are our 4 recommendations for this upcoming school year. Something that we've been working on for a number of years with the district is to make sure our efforts in American Indian curriculum across all grade levels and all subject areas is happening. We want to increase the number of Native American authored books in our classrooms and media centers throughout the district. We've been doing a really good job with increasing this within our schools, but we want to see more. So this is something that we want to work on with the district this year. We also want to ensure the Instruction and Achievement Department is trained and proficient in Indigenous education for all. District 196 staff will lead in providing professional development to our elementary and secondary teachers. So this will include a level of coordinators, and we have already started these efforts within some of the teaching and learning teams, and so we want to continue that and to continue to grow that. We also want to develop a needs assessment at our Title I schools to determine if there are barriers that are impacting achievement for our Native students and to gather community input on best practices and strategies to meet the needs of our students at those schools. This is also something that gets brought up twice a year with our Tribal Nation Education Committee. This is something that they're looking for. This is an area that they want us to improve on as a district, and so we want to help guide that and encourage that movement. And then we also want to set up professional development with a Dream Catchers project at the targeted school sites during the school year 2026. And Lisa has more information on the Dream Catchers project that she can share if you have any questions regarding that.
I'll speak a little bit about our Dreamcatcher project. So this is an effort where Indian education partners with special education to make an impact on the overrepresentation of American Indian students who receive special ed services. So the Dreamcatcher project is a program created by Govinda Boudreau and Donna Patterson, who are, Donna Patterson was a professor at Augsburg College, and Govinda Boudreau is one of her students who is also a special ed teacher. And so they saw across many districts that there is an overrepresentation of American Indian students who receive special ed services. And so they are working with the Minnesota Department of Education to provide training for Indian education staff to be wholly involved in that IEP creation process or during the intervention phases, and to really create stronger partnerships between both the Indian education program and the special ed department. And so I'm happy to say that we have started and launched that program this year, and where we're working with a special ed coordinator and a special ed specialist with 2 cultural family advocates in our district, and we are working towards launching that. One thing that that Donna and Govinda have offered to do is to provide professional development for teachers within our school district, and so we would love to take advantage of that opportunity and invite them to District 196.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Board members, this is an action item for us tonight. Or was there anything else that you wanted to add? Okay, go ahead. There's an action item for us tonight, so before I move into questions, is there a motion to accept the resolution of concurrence as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Robin, second by Leah, correct? All right. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? Fantastic. Absolutely. Thank you so much for all of your work, all the programming. This is always one of my favorite presentations, and I know we're a little late tonight, but it's just awesome to see all the amazing things we're doing for our Native American students, and always appreciate the resolution of concurrence as well, and always to the recommendations of how we can keep doing better to support our Native students. So amazing. Thank you so much. We have a motion to accept by Robin, seconded by Leah. All those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries on a 4-0 vote. Thank you. Next, I would like to welcome Shelley Munson to the podium to go over our collective bargaining agreement with Dakota County Cultural Family Advocates.
Good evening, Chairperson Johnson, school board members, and Superintendent Bolsani. I'm Shelley Munson, Director of Human Resources, and I'll be referring to the collective bargaining agreement with the school district's cultural family advocates. These employees, represented by Dakota County Cultural Family Advocates, Local 7390 of Education, Minnesota, ratified the proposed working agreement for 2024-2026 on February 3rd of this year. I'll highlight the terms of the settlement for you. Effective July 1, 2024, retroactively, there will be an increase to each step on the salary schedule of 5%. Effective July 1, 2025, increase the salary schedule by 2.22%. There'll be an increase on the district contributions to health insurance of 12%, retroactive effective on July 1, 2024, and 8% on July 1, 2025. There's a few other minor language modifications and clarifications, and the total of the new costs during this term of the agreement are within the parameters that the school board established. On behalf of administration, I recommend that you approve the collective bargaining agreement that I just summarized, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Excellent. Thank you again. Again, school board, this is an action item, so before we move into questions, is there a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement as summarized?
So moved.
Catherine, seconded by
I second.
Robin. At this time, are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? Happy to see a finalized collective bargaining agreement within parameters. Thank you so much for you and your team for all your work on this. We have a motion to approve by Catherine, seconded by Robin. Board, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries on a 4-0 vote. Thank you. Last, under other action, I would like to welcome Christopher Onyango-Robsha to the podium to go over a joint powers agreement between District 196 and the City of Apple Valley.
Good evening, Chair Johnson, school board members, and Superintendent Bolsoni. I'm Christopher Onyango-Robsha, Director of Finance and Operations, and I am here to discuss the joint powers agreement that the district would like to enter into with the City of Apple Valley. This is for the development, usage, and maintenance of the Westview Elementary fields. You will recall in the fall of 2023, the City of Apple Valley asked its voters to approve a Parks and Recreations referendum. Included in this referendum was plans to develop a softball complex within the southern end of the Westview Elementary school grounds. The agreement that is before you outlines the city's responsibility to develop the project and its continued maintenance. The agreement also outlines the various ways the school district students and staff will be able to use the complex and the adjoining field. The agreement and the exhibits are included in the materials provided, and I'm happy to provide any clarification that the board may wish to have discussed.
Thank you. This is another action item for the board tonight, so before I move into questions, is there a motion to approve the joint powers agreement with the City of Apple Valley?
So moved.
Seconded.
A motion by Robin, seconded by Catherine. At this time, are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, questions or comments from board members? Thank you very much. We have a motion to approve by Robin, seconded by Catherine. All those in favor of approval, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries on a 4-0 vote. Thank you very much. All right, at this time, I will turn it over to Superintendent Bolsoni for superintendent updates.
Okay, thank you so much, Chair Johnson. Last week, we held parent-teacher conferences at the elementary schools, and we want to thank families for connecting with our teachers, knowing that when we work in partnership, student achievement increases. We have arts and athletic competitions coming up, and a variety of them, so I really encourage people to show up and cheer on our district students. All of our websites have that information, and our schools are putting out that as well. On the academic side, it is a reminder that there is kindergarten registration time coming up. If you have a child in your household turning 5 before September 1st, now is the time to register for kindergarten. Please see the Enrolling Your Child link at the top of the district website for more information. Our Connections preschool registration is also open for families of 4-year-olds. Applications available online that are received by March 9th will receive priority processing. And lastly, our registration for our summer community education youth programs opens tomorrow at 6 a.m. and registration is online for a summer full of fun. So That's it for my report tonight. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Are there any school board members with items they'd like to share? All right, seeing none. I know this was a longer meeting tonight. I promise it wasn't hazing of our 2 new board members. We just had a lot to get through. But I appreciate the board members that are here. I know we had a light board today because due to some illness, so I just appreciate sticking through the longer meeting and getting through the full agenda. I know it was a long one tonight, so appreciate it. But that does bring us to adjournment. So is there a motion to approve? Or is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn by Robin, seconded by Catherine. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries on a 4-0 vote. We are adjourned until Monday, March 10th.